Where'd you go? Oh, okay. Good sunny day, everybody. It's your friendly intergalactic, what's my name again? Oh, yeah. Sun Prince of the Sun, Enyo Solaris here. You could call me Solaris, and here with Solaris's friend is, this guy who's named...
Azerad.
Listen, I got the energy up here. You're at like a 2. I need you at like at least a 15.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a little closer to like 80, but I was saying like out of 10. Oh. What song we play in the background?
There's no songs playing.
Oh frick! Oh frick!
Picking up from the other room.
No, I mean I'm playing a song in the background.
No.
What's up, everybody? What's up, party people? We're gonna talk about Bleach. You could also pull up my stream because I have pictures. I have show and tell, everybody. Like, wait, hold on, look. I need to show you something. Do you see my stream?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it broke. Okay. There's like a weird transition, and like there's like during the last batch of episodes we watched, there was like a flashback episode where they were like, it was basically Bleach was like a high school show. Remember that episode?
I do.
It was like it was like Renji and Rukia and like Momo and Izuru and the other guy, the guy with the 69 on his face. What was that guy's name? Okay.
I'm sad because I really like that guy.
Me too. We're looking it up. I know he was Tosen's friend. Bleach. Tosen? Friend? Tosen? Is Google listening to me right now? What the frick? Losing it. I'm losing it. Suihei Hisagi. Anyway, there was a flashback episode with all of them. You remember that episode?
Not that much.
Okay, anyway, during the episode, there was like this weird block transition that they never did before and never did since, where it faded out with blocks, and during part of that transition, like, there was an animation error that I saw for one frame, where it's like, I think that's part of the storyboard. I don't know what that is.
Whoa.
I can't quite make out the Japanese that's there, but that's definitely, I think that's part of the storyboard. It's funny. Do I still have that one screenshot of where they had like where they had a completely overlooked some part of like, I think it was a Inuyasha. I have too many anime screenshots. I need to be stopped. I need to be... Also, this is your weekly reminder to watch The World Ends With You anime.
I have yet to do that fully. Still have to get back to that.
Fully? Did you start?
Mm-hmm.
Did you finally suck it up and be like, you know what? Fuck Funimation. We watching the sub.
I mean, yeah, I refuse to watch the dub. I refuse to.
Oh, here it is. You see it, right? You see it? This is an actual screenshot of Inuyasha, the last act. You see it, right? Look at it. Do you see it? Do you see the
Oh, yeah, the line art.
The storyboard line art behind him?
Wow, I wonder if that's present in like Blu-ray versions of the anime.
I have no idea. Anyway, we're going back to talking about Bleach. Anyway, how's it going?
It's going great. I love Bleach.
Okay, we don't have any live viewers, but we got the VOD viewers. Shout outs to the VOD viewers. You're my favorite. Honestly, I don't even like the live viewers. We don't need them. We don't need them. They just get in the way. How's it going? What do you want to talk crap about the live viewers before they get here?
I quite like the live viewers.
Anyway, so last time we cut it off a little bit short. So last time we talked about them breaking and entering into the Soul Society, about how Ichigo got a cool new sword, and I hope you're ready to never see that sword again. Because he immediately gets a new upgrade, and then we never see that sword again, unfortunately. But it is they used the sword well, okay?
It is an amazing design of a sword. I love it. He's kind of like the anime version of Cloud.
The anime version of Cloud?
It hurts my soul.
Listen, I don't think that's a complete coincidence. Or is the anime... Isn't Berserk the anime version of Cloud? Because he's got like a big sword, and his like main villain is a fruity little guy with long hair and a small sword.
You might be right with that.
And then the Bleach, it does the same thing. As the main antagonist is a brooding guy with a big sword, and then the guy he fights, Byakuya, is a little prissy boy with not a big sword. It's all the same thing. Japan only knows how to write one story, and it's just a brooding guy with a big sword fighting a prissy guy with a tiny sword.
It's all the same.
I'm the same too. Look at me. I got a big sword. I just need a prissy guy to fight with a tiny sword. Any volunteers? I'm willing. And by any volunteers, I mean the only one currently watching this live, which is you, Azerad. How's it going?
Not me.
But hey, DM me on my DMs are open on Twitter. Anyone wanna be like, hey, I'll be your anime antagonist. We can get something arranged. What are we talking about? What are we talking about again?
Talk about Ichigo's cool sword.
You said Ichigo again. I'm not crazy.
I'm saying Ichigo.
I swear I was listening back to the VOD. You said Ichigo. It's Ichigo. A-I-U-A-O. Ichigo. Say it again.
Okay, wait. Let me put it into the translator.
It's I know Japanese. Nihongo wakaru. Sannen kan Nihon sundeimashita. He doesn't believe me. I can't believe this.
Oh, I believe you.
Now you believe me. I can't believe this. Anyway, listen, I appreciate you, Azerad. We're wasting the first 20 minutes of the stream. Don't worry about it. It's what happens. It's what happens. What were we talking about?
Bleach.
Bleach?
Supposedly.
Oh, Bleach. Okay. But yeah, I was gonna say, so yeah, last time, he got a new, Ichigo got a new sword. Ichigo got a new sword, and then he broke into the Soul Society and had a really cool fight with Renji, where, I think I did finish talking about, his fight with Renji, because, Renji, as we learn now, that Renji doesn't actually want to, kill Rukia. I mean, we already knew that before, but the reason that he fought Ichigo was because he wanted to prove that Ichigo was serious enough to go rescue Rukia. Because remember, Renji had that whole thing about, like, if you want to go save, if you can't even beat me, then you can't save Rukia because there's 11 more of me and 12 captains. So, right? And Ichigo's like, we're good. And then he beat him with apparently that I was very confused. Because there have been several points in the series where he like shot a blue beam out of his sword. And they never, like, acknowledged it, and then now they were like, oh yeah, that, by the way, that's the power that his sword has, is that it can shoot blue laser beams, and it's called a Getsuga Tensho. And apparently he can shoot it without naming it. I thought he had to learn it. So I was confused at what was going on. But I think it's the fact that he could use it, and he was just kind of using it by accident. Right? Because during the Byakuya fight, he had, like, a flashback of, like, the Bankai training, and, like, Zangetsu was like, oh yes, you know, if a technique is more powerful if you know its name, and this name is Getsuga Tensho. But he didn't, I don't think he ever screamed, Getsuga Tensho!
He did not do that yet, no.
No. That's crazy. But it is Getsuga Tensho. Which I suppose that's what he was just using before. There was also a part in the, actually, I don't know. Never mind. I think they're just crazy. I think that's a retcon. I'm gonna call it a retcon. Because they said that the blue laser beam is the Getsuga Tensho, and he was using it before, even though he didn't know the name. But if the Getsuga Tensho is the ability of his Zanpakuto, like all the Zanpakuto have a special ability, and that's his special ability. Well, how did he? I swear he used it against the Menos Grande before he knew the Zanpakuto's name. So he shouldn't have been able to shoot against the Tensho. But he cut the Menos Grande with the blue laser beam. Am I crazy?
I mean, I guess, yeah, it was definitely a retcon, but the only way I could like explain it properly would maybe be like it's just raw spiritual pressure.
Yeah, I suppose, because what they explain is that it's just condensing his spiritual pressure and shooting it out. So I suppose you don't necessarily need a special sword to just shoot out spirit energy. Also, I was gonna mention this later this is in the miscellaneous section, but I was gonna mention that in the original anime, you know, I think you can see in this picture, Ichigo's spiritual pressure is colored blue, right?
Yep.
You can even see it in this picture. Apparently it's not supposed to be blue because in the manga and the new anime, it's gold. And I just want...
And in official manga colorizations by Shueisha, it does show up gold there too.
I just want to say I like the blue better. I guess...
It looks cleaner.
I don't know. I think just glowing gold for Super is just a little too generic. Like, it's just Super Saiyan at that point. If he's just glowing gold. But yeah, then I went back and saw, like, I went back to the, like, original... Or not, I went back to the first episode of the new anime where he did a Getsuga Tensho, and yeah, lo and behold, it was yellow and not blue.
That was Kubo's original vision.
Well, Kubo's dumb. Also, look, right after the Renji fight, I'm trying to go in somewhat of order, and right in the Renji, during the Renji fight, they had a flashback arc, which I want to say was like half filler. I don't remember. I remember being somewhat confused about that. I think it was one chapter that they turned into an entire episode, so it's like somewhat filler. Anyway, look, they got a star bit. You see the star?
It's a cute picture of Rukia.
I agree. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, was there anything about the Renji fight you wanted to say? Because I think we kind of ended it off by... I think we finished talking about the Renji fight, but is there anything you wanted to say?
Not too much. I mean, I wasn't personally super invested in the fight itself, but I thought it was kind of cool.
I thought it was a good fight. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just, I don't know, it's a good rematch. It's good. I think Renji's a good rival. Bleach has a lot of rivals throughout the series, but I want to say Renji is one of the best just because, like, I don't know, he seems to be on the same page as Ichigo, just in a different position. Because they both want to save Rukia, right? But Renji is in a position where, like, oh, he has to follow the rules or whatever. He's in the Soul Society, where Ichigo is kind of more of an outsider. So he's more free to, and by more free, I mean, he just breaks in and goes rescues. But I don't know, Ichigo still said, like, at near the end of this arc, like, oh yeah, even if I was in your position, Byakuya, I would still save Rukia. And Byakuya's like, that's fucked up, buddy. Anyway, I also wanted to briefly listen. Instead of trying to type the topics, we're just gonna copy and paste it from my notes.
Good idea.
Good idea. Listen, I'm aware of my limitations. I'm aware of my struggles. We're adapting. Also, do you like the onsen background that we're in?
I do.
I'm gonna put you in the onsen. You can be all cozy. No, I'd have to refix the whole thing. We're just standing outside the onsen. We're gonna, right after this stream, we're gonna go take a dip.
Yeah, relax. Yeah, there we go.
Anyway, Kenpachi Fight. I think it's a lot more straightforward. Like, there's no like real history behind Ichigo and Kenpachi, where like Renji. You know, Renji has a horse in the race with wanting to save Rukia, and they fought him before, but like Kenpachi just like he just wants to kill people. He just wants to fight people.
I think it's really funny because Kenpachi is one of the most popular, if not possibly like the most popular of the captains.
I think according to official polls, I think Toshiro might be a little ahead of that, or Byakuya. But I know he's definitely one of the more popular ones.
Yeah, he's a very popular Bleach character just in general. So it's funny to see how like kind of one note he is.
I mean, here. It's effective. I mean, again, I think that's kind of one of the biggest strengths and weaknesses of the series is just how many characters there are. But like, yeah, no, like a great like one note character like Kenpachi can exist in a series like this because he only shows up like 4 times in the whole like 300 episode series. So like
he's also the only of his kind. Like there's nobody who's really like Kenpachi.
Yeah, like again, I think we were talking about this last time. We were talking about how amazing all the captains are, because like they all have a unique personality, unique like visage. Like Kenpachi, like he has like spiky hair and an eye patch, and he's like very big and intimidating. Like he's a unit.
I'm scared when I look at him.
I'm scared. Also, I know we were talking good things about the dub. And listen, listen, the thing about anime dubs is even when they're good, I still hate them because Kenpachi is one of the characters who had their voices changed like partway through the series, and I hate it because the original English Kenpachi is so goddamn good. And stupid, the new Kenpachi just sounds like a random jackass from Hero Academia. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they change it around when the series goes widescreen. Funnily enough, I believe.
Widescreen now.
If you skip filler.
No, I think he's like at the very end. Like he only used his new voice during like post time skip, pretty much.
I could be wrong.
We're looking it up. Bleach
Kenpachi,
a fictional character. Thank you for letting me know that. Google, very useful. David Lauge from episode 20 to 243, and then Patrick Shees from episode 244 onwards.
Oh, maybe I am wrong. I remember the later arcs happened.
What is 244? Oh, 244. Yeah, 244 is like the penultimate arc. Like right before the Lost Substitute Shinigami arc. So it's pretty much just post time skip Kenpachi that has a different voice. But yeah, there's a lot of other good characters who get their voices changed.
And I also agree that his original voice was like much better for him.
I'm Kenpachi Zero. I can't even do it. I think I remember the voice actor was complaining on Twitter. I think it had something to do with Union?
Yeah, it's usually Union.
Just blame it on Union. Oh yeah, the other thing not Bleach, but Kid Icarus Uprising also did this. Again, all the good, even when I like English dubs, they still mess it up. Because again, I like the Uprising dub, but then they still effing immediately changed it with Smash Brothers, and then they changed it again. Because in Smash 4, Palutena has a different voice, and then in Smash Ultimate, Viridi has a completely different voice.
At least they kept Pit.
And I think I think that's another union thing, which I suppose is good, but like companies need to work with unions and blah blah. Anyway, politicals but anime swords Kenpachi. This is how it lasts over. We're gonna try to fit this in not that much time.
Do you think the captains have a union?
You think the captains have 100% no. I mean, no, they don't. They don't. Seeing as like they're all like just controlled by like an elite group of the elites or whatever Central 46 is. Remember they talked about that near the end of this arc about how like, oh yeah, they were just taking orders from Central 46, but they were all dead. Talk about that in a second. Anyway, yeah, I think even though it doesn't have like the history, the Kenpachi fight doesn't have like the history of the Renji fight or like even the Byakuya fight later. It's still a good fight. I think Kenpachi just really likes fighting, and Ichigo is kind of like more of a pragmatic fighter. So I think they are good like opposites to each other. Yeah, also, the way that he won the fight, I think I did talk about this briefly last episode or stream or installment, previously on Clorox. Yeah, Ichigo, the reason Ichigo won is because he was able to, like, you know, understand his sword, you know? I think that Renji said that. Renji was like, oh yeah, you know, who said that line? Where, like, oh yeah, you think you can just be friends with someone just because you know their name? Was that Zangetsu? I forget who exactly it was.
What wasn't that like Byakuya or Renji?
I think it might have been Renji. Anyway, so but yeah, I think Ichigo remembered that, and then yeah, Ichigo basically learned that, like, oh yeah, you know, I know Zangetsu's name, but I don't even know anything about him, you know, and I think that it leads to it's something that the show doesn't touch on too much. But yeah, like the bond between Shinigami and their Zanpakuto I think is interesting. Because we also see, even though we only ever see two of them, we see Zangetsu and then we also see Zabimaru in this screenshot where he's like a monkey with a snake tail. But those are spoilers. Those are the only two that we see outside of like filler arcs.
And it's a darn shame.
But they do talk about it sometimes. I think there's a scene later where, like, somebody is, like, meditating with their Zanpakuto or something. But I do like the idea of, like, oh yeah, you know, it's like Pokemon. You gotta be friends so you can fight on the same level or whatever. I don't know, man.
Spiritual this, spiritual that.
Anyway, they gotta be friends with their Zanpakuto, and that's why Kenpachi lost that fight, because Ichigo was willing to learn more about his Zanpakuto and fight alongside it, and Kenpachi was just focused on fighting and couldn't even, like, hear his Zanpakuto. Because, during, like, the last, like, shot of that fight, or, like, the last scene of that fight, the ghostly aspiration of Zangetsu was behind Ichigo, and it was like, oh, you hear that? Do you hear his Zanpakuto screaming out in pain? He can't even hear it.
Haha.
So yeah. So foreshadowing? Question mark? No spoils. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'm very bad at knowing what is considered a spoiler or not. Like, is that a super huge thing? Like that, like to say that that's not one of the many plot points that they just disappear and never come back to? Like hell. Although I think they did eventually bring back Hell. Anyway. But yeah, I think it's a cool fight. Also just the very high scale fights. I don't know how I don't understand the power level at this point, because I think they established that, like, okay, Ichigo is at, like, captain level, because immediately after this fight, Ichigo went to go save the useless characters from Byakuya. For what was their name? The wimpy Soul Reaper guy and the Kaiba's brother.
Fireworks guy.
I think his name was Ganju. But yeah, when he went to go save them from Byakuya, Byakuya's like, what is this captain-like spiritual pressure? And it was Ichigo. So Ichigo has the spiritual pressure of a captain, whatever that means. But how he was able to defeat Kenpachi when Kenpachi was like full power and he's like a captain. Is Kenpachi the weakest captain? I don't know. They kind of try to explain that later, but it might be a retcon, so I'm just working off the information that we have at the current moment. It just seems Kenpachi's the weakest captain.
Which would make sense. I think they specify, and I'm trying to dig back from like way back when I first watched Bleach. That like Kenpachi is like the weakest in terms of like, you know, his spiritual connection to his sword, because like he doesn't care about it, whatever. And then, but like in terms of like raw strength, like just being swole at the gym, Kenpachi is the strongest.
Being lifted at the gym, yeah, Kenpachi. I don't know, because he's like the leader of like the combat specific like squad, but it's weird. I don't know. But hey, you know, maybe he'll do something later. I don't know. Also, something else that's cool about the fight is this dude right here, this white Ichigo, which
oh yeah, dude, I forgot this showed up in this scene. Yeah, I love how he does this with the sword.
Like Ichigo Kenpachi basically just kills Ichigo, And then Ichigo goes to his inner world, and Zangetsu's like, you don't even know how to use this. Like, let me get somebody to show you how to use Zangetsu. And then this white Ichigo comes up out of nowhere and steals the sword and starts murdering Ichigo with it. And he just has this dumb stick. No, I think he has a regular sword, but then he's like, oh, thing is basically a stick in comparison to Zangetsu. And it was basically Ichigo learning, like, just to not basically just rely on his sword, because I think the point that they were trying to make was that Ichigo was just relying on the strength of his sword up until now, and not necessarily like himself or like bonding with the sword.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'll make a note to talk about later when we learn more about this character. But it's cool. And he spins the sword around, and I know you're mad about that, because Ichigo never spins his sword around like that.
And I'm not even in filler, allegedly. It's just, this is something that's exclusive to this character. This character, like, the white Ichigo, will do it in the video games.
Do it in the video games?
For some reason, they're like, only evil Ichigo can do it, not regular Ichigo. That's just not gonna happen.
I'm gonna have to rain on your parade. Ichigo does it once when he's he does it exactly once, because I remember going through this, and I remember listening to you complain about that. So on the rewatch, I was trying to see, is there any point that Ichigo does it, and there was exactly one point where he spins his sword around like that.
Well, I'm glad he does it at least once.
At least he tried. He tried it, and he's like, it's not for me. But yeah, I think, again, it's hard to figure out, like, what can you infer from this point in the series versus what's a spoiler? Give me a minute, my gears are turning. Okay, here's my connection about how this is not a spoiler. You ready for this one?
What's up?
So we hear white Ichigo talk, right? And then we hear that voice come back during this scene where Ichigo has this mask on, and then that mask is also through here, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he's somewhat related to this mask. We don't know why. That'll be a big thing in the next arc. We'll figure it out. And then the arc after that, and the arc after that, and the arc after that, and the arc after that.
This is a insanely huge, I don't know what to call it, plot device maybe? I'm not sure.
It's a major plot point of the next couple arcs. But yeah, another thing I will say is that Fujin, this white we're gonna call him White Ichigo. I think that's what people call him.
There is another name, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's like a spoiler. I know there's a spoiler name.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, at the end of that fight, the white Ichigo kind of gets fused back into Zangetsu. So they're kind of are they the same thing? Are they a different thing? I don't know. I guess you just have to keep watching and find out, man. There's also this shot.
Tune in next week.
Also, during like the final attack, that this figure showed up. I don't know. Is that an anime original thing, or did that show up in the manga? I meant to look that up. But it seems like a very specific imagery to not put in the for the anime to throw in and not the manga. But I don't know. I know the anime does mess around with some things.
This is not the most faithful adaptation.
It's close enough. Listen, quit your whining. Quit your babying. It's a good adaptation. It's got the song. It's got the song.
The song wasn't in the manga.
No, I'm saying it's a good adaptation because it's got the song. Whether or not it's faithful or whatever. And the color is blue. Blue is better. The song is better. Don't read the manga. No. Manga is good. Because again, especially with the early anime, the anime kind of focuses a lot on like still shots. Like, it's not...
There's not a lot of Sakuga in this arc.
Yeah.
Which is
So
a bit of a shame, but it also highlights how good... Because I think the Kenpachi fight, really fun to watch. Even if, like, animation-wise, it's pretty limited.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, the anime is very heavily carried by how good the source material is. Like, story-wise and the visuals. Which is, you know, why the filler arcs, the very next filler arc sucks. I might complain about that later. But just know that, like, listen, anime-wise, it's kind of a little stilted, and it's mostly riding the heels off. The anime does get better, but definitely. The anime gets exponentially better as time goes on. But, you know, even here in, like, the best arc, it's the best arc because it's the best, like, written arc, not the best, like, animated arc.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are some scenes in the anime that are really good. Anyway, so after that, anything you want to say about the Kenpachi fight?
Well, I got most of my thoughts out there.
Okay, so yeah, because after the Kenpachi fight happened, the cat takes her titties out. No, what? I've got the order wrong. He went to go save Fireworks Dude and Squimp from
Halo Dude.
Hanataro, I think his name is? I know his name had the word flower in it. Hana something. Anyway, so Ichigo goes saves, and then he tries to fight Byakuya, and then Yoruichi, who is the cat, turns into a person and then saves him. I think that's a funny reveal. I think they made a similar joke earlier with the fireworks lady, where they're like, oh, it's a big strong man. I wonder, and it's like a lady with big boobies. But the whole time, Yoruichi has been like this mysterious cat figure, and then just turns into like has a completely different voice, both in the sub and the dub. Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, I used to be the head around here, and it's like, what the fudge? What happened? We do figure out what happens, but not now.
Way later.
But yeah, so
Well,
always
not that way later, actually. I think.
I think I have it written down. I think it's like episode 2. It's episode 200 something, but we're also going to be skipping like 60 episodes, so maybe not that too later. I don't remember. Anyway, but yeah, because we know Urahara, Mr. Hat and Clogs got kicked out. He was like the head of like research and development, and he got kicked out. And now we know that Yoruichi also was there, and she was like the head of the stealth force, and then she also got kicked out. Or left or whatever. I'm not 100% sure what they mentioned right now at this point. But anyway, Yoruichi tells Ichigo about... Can I get a drum roll, please? Bankai!
Did that pick it up?
Yeah, it worked. That was perfect, thank you. They learn about Bankai. And I just wanted to talk about Bankai because I have a crazy number of things to talk about Bankai because I think it's a really good mechanic. Because basically, okay, we've learned that you learn your sword's name, and then they turn into a different form that's called Shikai. And then you can evolve it even further. You can go even farther beyond, and you can get Bankai. But yeah, I think it's a good logical progression of Shikai, because like Shikai are basically like just upgraded versions of swords. Like because the regular sealed sword is just like a katana most of the time. I think other people have like somewhat different swords, but it's usually just a Japanese ninja sword. And then the Shikai just makes it like fancy, like makes it kind of unique. Like Ichigo gets a big sword, Renji gets a little whip sword. There's also like a staff or spear, just a special ability that they can do. And then I think Bankai is basically just a super form.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more interesting than a super form. I don't know. It's more interesting than a super form. I mean, okay. it's more interesting than a super form because it has more of a logical progression. Like, it's not like Dragon Ball where they just glow and now they're stronger, you know?
They punch harder.
Yeah, it's not that it's not that their sword just gets bigger, you know? It's the sword evolves in a unique and interesting way.
And a lot of the times they actually gain straight up new powers.
Yeah, like, it's the thing I think is cool about it is that, like, you can kind of see, like, oh yeah, you know, if you see someone Shikai and then you can see their Bankai, you can kind of see the relation. Like, Renji, his Shikai is like a whip sword, and then his Bankai is a big giant dragon sword. So kind of like a similar concept, but just like on a way larger scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Byakuya, his Shikai is his sword turns into a 1,000 swords, and then his Bankai is just a bigger version of that. Yeah, I was gonna say, listen, I like Bankai. Some of them are a little bit redundant. Some of them are just bigger versions of the Shikai. No more frills added. But there are some really interesting ones.
Yeah, I also like how consistent usually the idea of a Bankai is, where, like you said with Dragon Ball, they kind of have like Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, and they keep going with like every new kind of arc. And a lot of shonen, not just Dragon Ball, other shonen anime do that too, where like if it's a new arc, we got to give the characters new powers. But Bleach rather does it more just like, okay, in this arc, we're gonna show different characters Bankais.
Yeah, again,
I like a lot.
One of the benefits of just having such a large cast is, like, even though we see like 15 Bankais in this arc, like, we still don't know a lot of other people's Bankai. Like, we never saw Soifon's a Bankai. We never saw most people's Bankai. I'm pretty sure we saw at least everybody's Shikai, all the Captain Shikai. Right, I'm trying to think.
We also just kind of opened the door because you brought up Renji, and we didn't bring up yet, I think, that Bankais are supposed to be exclusive to captains, but Renji, and I guess to a certain extent Ichigo, they both kind of break that rule and show, like, okay, well, you don't have to be a captain to like have a Bankai.
I think all captains have Bankais, but not everybody who has a Bankai is a captain, I think.
Also, except Kenpachi, because Kenpachi doesn't even have a Shikai.
Yeah, they mentioned that Kenpachi is a special case because, like, oh yeah, it's a testament to how much they respect his fighting ability, because that's like he doesn't even have a Shikai, as you said, and they still made him a captain just because he's that good. But yeah, other than that one exception, I do like how, like, yeah, again, like, it's cool that, like, pretty much every single minor character has, like, an interesting Shikai, but, like, Bankai they save for, like, the most important characters, or, like, the characters at the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the captains have Bankais, even though we haven't seen all of them yet, but they did say that, like, yeah, all of them have Bankai, and they're like, oh yeah, people who have achieved Bankai. I think they say that it takes 10 years of training with a Zanpakuto to achieve Bankai, other than the method that Ichigo used. So I think what happened with Renji is that yeah, no, because okay, listen, too many thoughts. Hold on.
So much to talk about.
Too many thoughts. Okay, you remember this scene where Renji his Zanpakuto guy was just kind of walking around, like, in the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yoruichi explains that in order to get a Shikai, you have to go into your inner world and kind of meet your Zanpakuto spirit, right? And that's what Ichigo did, and when he got his Zangetsu, he went into the world and he met the guy, and the guy threw him off the cliff. He had to get a box. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah. And then Yoruichi explains, in order to do Bankai, you have to do it the other way around, where you have to bring the Zanpakuto spirit into the real world and then kick their ass. Right? So the fact that Renji's Zanpakuto spirit is able to come out in the real world implies that he's already at that point. He's already at the point. Like, apparently that's the thing that takes 10 years. Because how Ichigo got it without taking 10 years was they put him in a time capsule. No. Listen, we don't listen. I'm not intending to hate on Dragon Ball. No, but no, we can't just put him in a time chamber and be like, okay, 10 years have passed, now he knows Bankai. No. They use they use a special thing. They use like a special device that Hat and Clogs made, that forcibly summons the Zanpakuto spirit into the real world. And like they're like, yeah, it doesn't take 10 years, but if you don't do it in 7 days, you're gonna die.
Yeah, he'll kill you.
Kill you, yeah. Because I guess the implication is that, like, you have to be powerful enough to do this in the first place, and if you do it prematurely, if you're not powerful enough to beat him, then, like, he's just gonna kill you. Which, why would they do that, actually? What happens to the Zanpakuto spirit when the Shinigami dies?
Yeah, I don't know if they ever really go into, like, depth about that.
I mean, I don't think the Zanpakuto spirit wants to kill the user. I think they just want to test their strength. But yeah, I wonder if anyone has died trying to get Bankai.
I'm sure they have.
Well, I just want to know. I just want a list. Hey, old man Yamamoto, can you give me a list of people who have died of Zanpakuto who have accidentally unalived themselves because they killed their Soul Reaper? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Shut up, don't think about it. But it is, anyway, here it is consistent, saying, with that, like, oh yeah, Renji, you know, we can assume that Renji's been training for the past 10 years in order to achieve Bankai, because he's like, I wanna beat, Byakuya. Right? Because he's like, oh yeah, Byakuya stole my Rukia away from me, and now I wanna beat his ass. But yeah, so I think that's cool. I think they also said Hat and Clogs use the same method to get his Bankai. Because like, oh yeah, only 2 people ever to get Bankai have done Bankai this way, because it's a stupid thing that you'd only do if you're wanting to fuck around to see if it worked, like Hat and Clogs, or you only had like 5 days until your friend was murdered, like Ichigo.
Yeah.
The only 2 situations which you would want to risk your life to get Bankai, as opposed to, you know, just take your time, buddy. But yeah,
you ain't going the I don't know how long captains like live.
Thousands of years.
Okay, so 10 years is really nothing for them.
Yeah, 10 years is nothing. Because I don't know. When do they imply that the past happened? No, 100 years. They did say that. Because in when Soifun was fighting Yoruichi, she was like, I've been getting stronger these past 100 years. Well, you've just been sitting around doing jack. So they do say 100 years. I thought 100 years was a spoiler. But no, I do remember that they specifically did say, like, oh yeah, 100 years ago is when this happened. So, I don't know, man. Shut up, don't think about it. They're like ghosts, and they're like immortal or whatever. Immortal? Maybe? I don't know. They don't age, maybe? They might age.
They do age, because we've seen Renji and Rukia as, like, kids.
Yeah, I was just about to pull up that screenshot again. Okay, not a great screenshot, but just imagine that her head is bigger than her body. Look at her big eyes. That's how you can tell that she's that she's a baby.
Has baby eyes.
She has baby eyes. She got the Goo Goo Gaga eyes. Well, yeah, we were talking about Bankai. Okay. I do like how it's like a natural progression of Shikai, because like you can almost kind of predict what the Shikai is going to be by looking at, or what the Bankai is going to be by looking at the Shikai, right? Because I think we saw that in this arc, actually, because the doggy Kumamura, I don't think we've seen his Shikai at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think...
Because he just goes straight to Bankai. I think he's the only character in the series to do that, though. I can't remember. I can't think of any other moment in time where that happens.
I don't think we see... Do we see Gin's Bankai this arc? Or
no,
just a Shikai?
It was only a Shikai.
Right.
hold on. Let me pull up a picture of the captains. So yeah, we definitely saw all their Shikai, 100%. We definitely saw everybody's Shikai, even though we didn't necessarily know what they did. Like the guy with the hat, I forget his name, and Ukitake. They had the only like dual wielding Zanpakuto, Kirito dual wielding Zanpakuto. So we saw that, and during their fight with Yamamoto, so we saw all 3 of their Shikais, but we didn't see any of their Bankais yet. The Bankais we did see, we saw Tosen's Bankai, which his Shikai, I don't think they explained it. I had to look it up, because the only thing he does is, like, he finds Uryu, and then he activates his Shikai, and then Uryu goes to sleep. Apparently what that does is, I think it's, like, from a character book or something. Apparently it, like, overloads your hearing, and then, it makes you pass out.
Well,
because I think they said something about how it doesn't work on people who can't hear or something. So anyway, and then his Bankai is, you can't see or feel anything. Or no, you can't see or hear anything. The Black Void. The evil Black Void. And then we also saw, Toshido's, Bankai for like 2 seconds. Where his Shikai is like, he shoots out a little water dragon. And in his Bankai, he becomes the big water dragon. It's sick. Too bad he died.
The reason why he's a fan favorite.
Yeah, too bad he dies in 1 hit. Yeah, I forgot that. I mean, I knew that Toshio was a popular character, but I thought he didn't do anything yet. But no, he was actually involved in like the big conspiracy that was happening behind the scenes. Like he had that.
Yeah, he has the big relation with like Momo, and he really wants to like look after her. And
yeah, because Aizen faked his own death, and then Momo was sad, and then Momo tried to kill Toshiro, and then he was mad at Gin, and I mean, I know that's a really popular fight for one reason or another. The Toshio versus Gin, even though that happened in like half an episode.
I think, and I'm just spitballing here, it might be because if I remember right, it's the first time captains fight each other, so it's kind of the start of like the conspiracy.
I think you might be right. That I don't know. I think the Renji fights Byakuya before, but that's not really a captain. As far as like captains fighting, the only time that happens in this batch of episodes is the Toshio and Gin, and then Kenpachi fights Tosen and the dog. Tosen and the dog. I would, you know what? I want a Bleach spinoff about a prequel of their relationship, and it will be called Tosen and the dog.
We also, I wouldn't call it a fight, but we do get to see what's his name, Ukitake and Yamamoto kind of just stare at each other. Also with the other guy, the other captain.
We're looking up his name. We're looking up his name because the guy,
too many characters.
The guy who Chad's only fight in this effing entire arc. I think that wasn't not even in this batch of episodes. I feel bad for Chad. Chad's a cool character, but the only thing that he did in this entire arc was get murdered by that guy, and then he basically just was eye candy for the rest of the series.
I think Bleach does a really good job with like showcasing all like how cool these different characters are, like with Soul Reapers and other stuff that I can't say for now, but like even Uryu with being a Quincy, they do like a pretty cool job of showing them. But for Chad, not for a long time, they didn't really go in depth with that.
Yeah. Shinsui Kyoryaku. Kyoryaku is his name.
Oh yeah, Shinsui, yeah, I do remember that.
But yeah, they have a fight, and then
I hesitate to call it a fight.
They just kind of show off their swords, and then they kind of
stare at each other.
They fight off screen. They cut back, and they're like kind of breathing heavily. But yeah, we also see Byakuya's Bankai, Mayuri's Bankai. I don't know if anyone else whipped it out. I don't think anyone else whipped it out. I was laughing. I was dying during that one scene where Ichigo was like egging on Byakuya to show off his Bankai, and he's like, "Pull out your Bankai. Let me see your Bankai." I was dying. Whip it out, Byakuya. Whip it out. Let me see your Bankai. wants to just show me your Bankai and let me see your Bankai. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, yeah, there are, I like Bankai because it's more interesting than just a super form. It's not like you get the 7 Chaos Emeralds and you turn gold and now you're stronger. See, I can make fun of things that aren't Dragon Ball Z. Wait, hold on. What was Supersonic based off of?
Uh-oh.
Anyway. But yeah, I do like how, there is a logical progression between, you know, Shikai and Bankai. And even in the cases where, like, they sometimes, okay, listen, most it's assumed that, like, okay, Bankai is like a stronger version of the Shikai with like new abilities. Like, again, Renji has a whip sword, and then his evolved version of that is a giant whip sword, i.e. a dragon. Basically just a giant whip sword. Same thing with Byakuya. He just has more swords and can do more things with them. But they do sometimes play around with those exceptions to, like, kind of throw you off. Like, there are some Bankais that are, like, completely different from Shikai. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ichigo's is the main example. Because,
his gets smaller.
yeah, his gets smaller. Because, yeah, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the fight. But, yeah, it's a good throwing off of expectations, because you're like, oh yeah, you know, all the Bankais have been like these huge giant like monstrosities, like these big flashy attacks, and then Ichigo's seems to get weaker, and Byakuya doesn't even think it's a Bankai, but then we see like, oh, hold on a minute, it's sick as heck. And there are a couple of times that they do that throughout the series where they kind of like play with expectations, because again, most of the time there is a pretty straightforward correlation between Shikai and Bankai. But sometimes they do throw you for a loop, and I think the few times that they do it, it's really cool. Won't say what other characters have surprising Bankais for spoiler reasons, but there are characters who have surprising Bankais, and they're cool.
I also just want to say that I think, while it's cool to anticipate what the Bankai does, personally, I've always just been a fan of what the Bankai looks like, because a lot of the times, and I think by a lot, I think every single time, the Bankai does have like a very distinct appearance, and you get some cool sword designs all the time.
It's very, like, again, a lot of the appeal of the series, especially on a first watch, is just seeing what everyone's cool swords do. Because, like, yeah, it is fun to see, like, what everything looks, because it all looks cool. Like, you know, like the dog has this giant mech guy with a giant sword, like that's his Bankai, and like Mayuri is like this weird creepy baby centipede thing. And Byakuya is really cool looking. So yeah, I think and again, I think I was talking about this last installment last stream about how I was worried that I wouldn't enjoy Bleach on the rewatch since I know everybody's like abilities, but like, nah, it's still cool to see them whip it out. It's still very much cool to, like, you know, just because they just look cool. They just look very cool. It's like it's like the best super form out of like in any anime. Anime is very popular. Shonen anime specifically is very infamous for having super forms, but I would just like to say, I'm just saying, I wasn't lying in the title. Peak Shonen super form, Bleach super forms are the best.
Mm-hmm. I'd have to agree.
I'm just trying to think. JoJo doesn't really have any like super forms. JoJo's kind of an exception among shonen anime anyway. Naruto kind of has super forms. They kind of get a different outfit, but they don't really like their things don't really change that much. Did you know it's, Naruto has like a Sage mode or something, and I think that's like his super form. But I don't think it does anything.
So as a Naruto because I do know a lot about Naruto, he has a few different quote-unquote super forms, and Sage mode does do quite a bit.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not like...
the whole thing with that.
Either way, one way or another, like, regardless whatever Sage mode does, Naruto doesn't necessarily, like, even focus that much on super forms, and people just
it
have
doesn't
like
show up till like way later.
yeah, people just have like really powerful people are just really powerful in Naruto. People just do really powerful jutsu in Naruto, and that kind of slides in for a super form. It's not until like late game Naruto that they start like just going super. But I think Bleach does it very well because again, I don't know, it's kind of a win button, but it's not kind of not a win button. Again, okay, listen, I know we were just talking about how good Bankai is. Okay, we'll keep talking about how good Bankai is. It's not perfect, but I will say, I do like how, I think we were talking about this before the stream. I do like Bankai. Another reason that Bankai is good is only important people have it, so it's not like everybody has a Bankai, but everybody still has some sort of ability. So even like minor characters, they still show off their Shikai, and it's like, oh, cool, neat. But they don't have to like, you know, they can have a cool form without going Bankai. But it is fun to imagine like what would minor characters Bankai be like.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what these later arcs keeping a lot of these characters does, where it's like, well, what if we look at this character's bond, or even sometimes in a rare occasion, what about this character's Shikai, who we don't even get to see?
Yeah,
so.
like especially the Kyoraku, Suinsei, and Ukitake, like we see their swords, but we don't see what they do until like way later.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. But yeah, also another thing I really like about Bankai is that it avoids the power creep because, spoiler alert, there is nothing above Bankai. Like there are some exceptions if you are the main character. Obviously there are some exceptions if you're the main character, but like 99.9% of the time, like Bankai is the most powerful that a character gets. You know, the show I think does a very good job of like avoiding the power creep because it's, for the most part, it's just like, okay, Bankai, that's it. Bankai versus Bankai is like as big as the show gets, but it's still good because a lot of the reason that a lot of shows do have power creep is because you got to keep escalating, but like you can go in a lot of different ways with the Bankai and all these other like special abilities, and like seeing them how they interact with each other is really cool.
Yeah, I would even like argue that the way what Bankais work is that, yes, while there are some exceptions with characters kind of refining their Bankais, that's as much as I would say. I wouldn't say a character ever necessarily just goes above a Bankai.
Yeah, there's no, like, Bankai is like a hard limit, and I think Aizen literally talked about that, where he's like, I want to become God, and there's a limit to how powerful you can get as a Soul Reaper, and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, again, there are the rare exceptions where, like, they do, like, gain new abilities, they train their Bankai, and they can do more things, because, Byakuya literally said, like, after he beat Renji, he's like, oh yeah, you know, it takes 10 years to get a Bankai, but after that, to fully master a Bankai, you need to train for another 10 years. And then even later, we see, like, in the Renji fight, the Renji-Byakuya fight, Byakuya shows off his Bankai, but then we still, like, see more things that he can do with the Bankai later on. That kind of, I think Byakuya is kind of a somewhat of an exception with that, because his is the only Bankai off the top of my head that I can think that has different, like, transformations.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's not getting any more powerful. It's just he uses it in a different way, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think for, like, his Bankai is like a bunch of swords all over the place, and then, like, one of his transformations is just condensing all of those swords in a single attack, and that's what he does for, like, the final attack. So it's not that he's getting more powerful, he's just using it in a different way, because, like, you know, he's the head honcho, you know, he has billions of years of experience with his Bankai. So he knows all the different tricks. So there are different tricks that you can do with Bankai, but you can't just, you know, there's no Bankai level 2, you know, there's nothing, there's no other, like, transformation beyond Bankai. There's no, like, Super Saiyan God Bankai.
Thank God.
we don't get that. No. So it has its advantage where, like, you know, even later on, you know, even with the most recent season, it's still cool to see people's Bankai, because it's like, it's still like the most powerful thing that we have. I don't know. It's a very difficult balancing game with, like, keeping Bankai interesting without just powered scaling it. And I think Bleach is very well written in the fact that it is able to keep Bankai interesting without power creep, you know? I think it's cool. And there's some power creep in other aspects of the show, but, you know, as far as, like, regular fights go, again, if your name is Ichigo Kurosaki, you might get some exceptions, but again, most of the other characters in the show, Bankai is it. And I think that's really cool. And they do keep that consistent. They, not spoilers, but yeah, they do keep that pretty consistent. They don't have, like, this other people is like, oh, I'm more powerful than a Bankai.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say what I really like is Bankai is a very good, like, measuring stick for every other kind of, like, character that maybe isn't a Soul Reaper, right? About to, like, get into spoiler territory.
Yeah. Because, like, yeah, this arc we just fought Soul Reaper, so, like, we gotta go fight something else now, right? We gotta go kill Aizen. So we'll see what's up with that later on. I think I might have said everything. Everybody has a Shinkai, only a few people have Bankai. Bankai is the last power-up for characters. Give us this variety without the power creep. I will say, one issue that I do have with Bankai is that sometimes Bankai can just invalidate Shikai. Like, again, like, we never see, like, there's hardly ever a reason to just use a Shikai if you have a Bankai. Like, they try to say, like, oh yeah, you need, like, 10 years of training, and, you know, it takes a lot of energy, and you can't maintain it for a long period of time. But, like, you know, there's not a lot in the show to stop people from just immediately going to Bankai. So, a lot of the time, the Shikai kind of get sidelined. Like, Byakuya's Shikai, like, we see once? I think. No, we see twice. He uses it against Fireworks Guy, and then uses it during the first part of the fight with Ichigo. But his Shikai is very much, like, played down compared to his Bankai, because his Bankai is just a bigger version of his Shikai. So, like, clearly, like, his Bankai was made first, and then he, like, oh, I guess he also has to have a Shikai, I suppose. Stuff like that. There's, like, somewhat overlaps. Komamura, the dog, is another example where, like, we don't even see his Shikai, he just goes straight to Bankai, and it's like, we do see his Shikai later, but I think it's mostly just to show it off, because, like, again, why not just go to Bankai? If you have a fight, just go to Bankai. So,
yeah,
the show can be a little centralized around just Bankai, but most of the time, like, Bankai is cooler than, like, the regular, weapon, right? I think Toshio is another example where, like, his Bankai is just a bigger version of his Shikai, but, like, and we never see his Shikai ever again, but, like, his Bankai is cool as heck, so you know what? It's fine.
We love it.
The only issue that I have is Ichigo, like, because his sword is so cool looking. His sword is so cool looking, and, it never gets used again, because he always just goes into Bankai.
Ichigo is probably, from what I remember, the only character whose Shikai is just cooler than his Bankai in every way, in my opinion. I actually don't care much for his Bankai.
I think it's cool.
It's alright. I think it's fatigue, because Ichigo does not go out of his Bankai for a very long time.
I was gonna say he spends like hundreds of episodes in his Bankai.
If you're watching the filler, it's probably even more.
Yeah. Actually, I think that was another issue about the Bount arc, is that he just doesn't use his Bankai until the last, like, 5 episodes, and then he beats them, like, for free. And, like, what the fudge are you doing?
Yeah, so Bankai is really, I guess the meaningful thing to say about Bankai is often during the times, right? Like if a character has access to Bankai, they very rarely fuck around with not using it. It is not like I will like hold my power back. They're always like, dude, let me just do it.
Yeah, again, a story Bleach just being written in a good way where like characters don't have a very good most of the time like the characters just like there's not a whole lot of times where like you're like, why don't you just use your Bankai? Because it's like most of the time like either they do use their Bankai or they don't have a Bankai or they get immediately murdered before they can even use their Bankai. Or like they don't, I don't know. There's I can think of a couple times in the show later on where people just don't use their Bankai because they're stubborn, but like it is very few and far between. They most of the time they like Bankai go go. So yeah.
Yeah, there's actually I won't go too in depth with it because I'll say it for the next batch of episodes, or I guess next batch of canon episodes. But
next batch of episodes.
Okay, there is one character who has a very good reason to not want to go into their Bankai.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. There's some there are some exceptions where like they don't want to use their Bankai for one reason or another, but again, very few and far between. Most people know that like, oh, when shit gets serious, there's no reason to not do Bankai. But Bankai is cool. I was gonna say the last thing I wanted to say is another one of my issues with the dub is the way that they say Bankai. Because like I don't know, every during this arc I checked because I had that suspicion in the back of my head before because I've seen both the dub and the sub, but every time, for some reason, every single time they go Bankai in the dub, it's not as impactful as the sub. In the Japanese version, they go like Bankai! They like really enunciate and scream it. But like in the dub, they're just like Bankai! And that's it.
I'll have to look into it because again, I have not seen any of Bleach subbed except the newest season. So I'll have to go back and look into that. Sounds interesting.
But I don't know. It might just be me. It might just like the dub is good in all other aspects. It's just the way that they say Bankai. Like every time they went back, I rewound it and switched the audio and to compare, and I'm like every single time like the Japanese they say Bankai better. Because I think it should be very intimidating and very scary when they go like. They're like, because when they go Bankai, they're serious. They're about to go all out, you know. They're about to effing stab a motherfucker, you know. But so I don't know. Maybe that's just an issue that I have. But otherwise, you know, Bankai is good. We like Bankai. We are Bankai enjoyers here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so. I'm not gonna ask you for a drum roll. If I did it every time, then it would just lose its impact.
It also hurt me. I'm hitting my desk for that.
So, before we talk about the Ichigo fight, Byakuya fight, let's just talk about all the other fights that took place in between there, because there's a lot of fights that like basically like right after the Kenpachi fight, it's like Ichigo goes to go Bankai training. Oh yeah, you know what? One more thing about Ichigo and his Bankai. You know how during Ichigo's Bankai, if you please turn your attention towards the screen. Ichigo's Bankai training is basically Zangetsu's like, here's all these fake Zanpakuto, find the real one and kill me with it, right? That was actually foreshadowed, referenced in the opening. In the opening, the first shot of opening 2 is Ichigo standing in a field of what looks like a bunch of different fake Zangetsus. And I like it. It's good. You see what I mean?
Oh.
Oh, there you go. You got it.
I never noticed that.
I never noticed until like just now. I'm trying to find a different song. Give un momento por favor. Frick! Okay. We have a new song. Actually, this song's like 2 seconds long. Whatever. We'll listen to it until I'm sick of it. Anyway, what was I saying?
All the fights.
Oh yeah, all the fights. So yeah, basically, Ichigo goes to train for Bankai, and then all these other fights happen in the background. The first one is Uryu versus Mayuri. Oh my gosh, I can't get this audio right. Okay. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the only fight that Uryu has, but it's a really effing good fight.
It is really good.
Because, yeah, I think just in general, Mayuri's a very, like, it's pretty much the perfect foil to Uryu, not just because, like, Uryu is, like, all, they're both smart, but Uryu is all, like, very prideful and, like, oh, by the honor of the Quincy, blah, blah, blah. And Mayuri is just an insane psychopath.
He's one of the captains that very much feels like a real antagonist.
Yeah, because
a bad guy.
Another way that this arc is really well written is that, like, they're not, and I think a lot later Bleach is also good at this, but especially in this arc, they're not really any good or bad guys. It's just like, you know, like, Mayuri's pretty much the only evil character in Soul Society. Like, everybody else has, like, good intentions or trying to, like, uphold the law, or, like, they're just following orders or whatever. They're not necessarily evil, but this Mayuri's he's just evil. He's just evil. He's just sadistic. He's selfish. He's evil. He's just, how does he get away with all the shit he does? How does he get away with all the shit he does?
I think the arc also does a pretty funny job of, like, I don't think it necessarily makes Mayuri a red herring. I could be wrong. But, like, when they're doing, like, the who killed Captain Aizen and who's, like, which part of the Soul Society is corrupt, it feels like you wouldn't be wrong in thinking Mayuri was definitely...
Yeah, because he's the only evil one. I think Gin was kind of supposed to be the red herring, because, like, the entire time Toshio is fighting Gin, like, oh, Gin, what is Gin planning? What is he going to do? Why did he kill Aizen? And then you kind of got the plot twist of, like, oh, yeah, Gin... It was actually Aizen, but Gin was also still evil because he was working with Aizen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I would not. If somebody was like, oh, if somebody who had not seen the rest of the show had just seen that up to the Mayuri fight and was like, I think he's the one who killed Aizen, that seems kind of fucked up. I would not say you're wrong. Because, like, he's just, like, evil. How does he get away with all... Listen, he killed, in that fight, he killed several Soul Reapers. He just murdered several people. Like, he had bombs attached to them and, like, basically blew them up. Like, even when they're like, oh, we did our job, you don't need to blow us up anymore. And he's like, nah, I'm finished with you. Blah. Like, how did he get away with that stuff? He also admitted to bribing other Soul Reapers in order to kidnap a Quincy that the Soul Society was, like, protecting. Like, you know, Uryu's grandfather? Mayuri literally says, like, oh yeah, I was the one who killed your grandfather, by the way. The Soul Reapers were protecting him because he's, like, the last of his kind or whatever, but, you know, I bribed some so they would come to his rescue a little late. Like, how does he... Do they not... I guess they just don't know that this is happening, because it's not like the Soul Society is, like, evil, you know? The Soul Society is very much about, like, following rules and doing things with honor and... But, like, I guess, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess
He's
when...
a bit of an odd fella.
In a cast of characters where everybody is very unique, he's definitely an odd fella. In particular. But yeah, I don't know. I guess he just bribes and hides everything that he does. He gets away with a lot of shit. I don't know how, but he gets away with a lot of shit. Or maybe they do just, like, he does have, maybe it's like Kenpachi, where, like, they value his skill enough to just let him get away and bend the rules a little bit.
Probably seen how, I shouldn't say too much, but he's very competent in what he does, so.
I mean, he's good at what he does. He knew everything that, he knew pretty much everything that, Uryu was gonna do. Like, he was the one explaining Uryu's powers in that fight. Which I thought actually is kind of funny in thinking about it. He's usually in, like, anime fights, like, the person using the power is the one that explains what their power does, but he's like, oh yeah, I remember, I researched this already, you do that. Except for, like, the glove that he had at the end. But yeah, anyway, about the fight specifically. blah blah blah. Yeah, I think it's a good foil. I think the show is very good at like pitting fitting characters against each other. Because again, they're both smart, but like they're both like supposed to be portrayed. I don't know if Uryu does anything super smart other than he gets good grades in school.
He wears glasses.
He wears glasses, so he's smart. There you go. There you go. That's it. But Uryu's very like thoughtful. You know, he plans ahead. He thinks about things where, you know, as opposed to Ichigo, who just kind of hopes for the best. But yeah, they both are smart characters, but Uryu's good and Mayuri's evil, and also Mayuri is the one who killed his grandfather, specifically. What are the odds of that, by the way? Because it's not like he was specifically... Uryu did come to the Soul Society because he wanted to kill some Soul Reapers. But, like, what are the odds that, like, he just randomly stumbled upon the guy who killed his grandfather? What?
I mean, I wonder how big the Quincy family was, you know, like, how many different branches, you know, was everyone just related? Probably not, but...
I don't know, I think the thing is, like, I think his grandfather was, like... Because Uryu is, like, the last of his kind, quote-unquote. So his, like, I guess his grandfather was, like, one of the last... second to last of his kind, so that's why he wanted to research him. I have no idea, man. But yeah, I do like it. I like how... I love how, like, overly powerful Uryu gets, because, like, his Shikai, Mayuri's Shikai, like, basically paralyzes you, which is kind of OP if you think about it.
Definitely is.
I think that might be a case where, like, you kind of don't need your Bankai at that point. As long as you can hit somebody, then they're basically just dead. But, you know, Uryu happens to have a convenient enough power where he can, like, use magical energy to move his body. And then he has the glove. He shows off the glove that has been a mystery this entire, like, thing. It's really good. They basically just shove all of the character development for Uryu in this one fight, and it's really good. It's very, very well paced, very satisfying. So we learn about his glove, we learn about his dad, we learn, not his dad, his grandfather. Do we know what's up with Uryu's dad at this point in the series? I don't think we've...
No.
I don't
didn't even see him.
Yeah, I think it's a spoiler to say he even has a dad.
Everyone has a dad.
Or, like, you know, an alive dad, because I think the implication is like, oh, his no, he does. We do see his dad. His dad's like, during that, he had like a flashback during this fight, and his dad is like, oh, you shouldn't be a Quincy. That doesn't put food on the table. And he's like, hey, screw you, Dad. I'm gonna go, Grandpa. You're gonna teach me how to be a Quincy. Grandpa is cool. Grandpa lets me use his guns.
He lets me use his Quincy bow.
He lets me use his Quincy bow. He lets me fire. He lets me shoot things at cars. He's the cool grandpa that let you borrow his gun and shoot at cars. Dying, dude. What was I saying? So anyway, yeah, his dad does show up. He doesn't do anything other than stay in school, son. But yeah, no, it's a cool fight. We finally figure out what the glove is. It's to make his Quincy powers really cool, but you have to basically train 24/7 for like 7 days or something. I have no idea what that was. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something crazy like that. And then he's like, oh, and his grandfather's like, you must never take off the glove, because if you do, you'll have super duper powers, but you'll never be a Quincy again. And then guess what? 5 seconds later, he takes off the glove. I remember, like, again, I like this fight because it is fast-paced, but that might be a case where it's, like, a little too fast-paced. Because literally, like, they explain the glove. It's like, oh, yeah, the glove gives you superpowers, but don't ever take it off. And then, like, 3 seconds later, he takes it off. But yeah, I think it is satisfying because he gets like a new form. He gets like a new outfit, and he gets. I think he's basically. I think he might be the most. That form of Uryu might actually be the most powerful character in the series at this point, because he one-shotted a Bankai, just straight up it's really funny because that is actually the first Bankai we see. Is the first Bankai we see is Mayuri's like little caterpillar baby head thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't get to see it do anything. It just spawns, and then Uryu takes off his glove, one-shots the dude, and then that's it. That's the end of the fight. So it's really sick. It's really sick. But yeah, it's funny. I think so I mean, like, listen, that is Uryu's like desperation, lose his powers kind of attack. So I'll give him a pass on that one of like being able to just one-shot a Bankai.
Even though, spoilers, I guess he still hangs around.
Yeah, I remember that's another
forever.
Back to complaining about the Bount arc. I remember in the Bount arc they had a really like complicated. They've had a very weird roundabout, complicated way to get Uryu his powers back temporarily. Because they're like, they wanted Uryu to fight in the filler arc, but they still needed him to be in the same position he was. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but he had like, they gave him a new glove that basically gave him temporary Quincy powers, and that was it. It's dumb. The arc's dumb. Arc's dumb, you can't convince me otherwise. Didn't you say you tried watching it and you gave up?
Yeah, I was going to watch all of the Bleach episodes. Well, because I've heard some filler is good. But like as I was going through the Bount arc, I'm like, you know what? I can't. It was animated really poorly. It was paced horribly. I remember the episode I specifically skipped is when the characters are just running between phone booths.
I remember
I couldn't do it.
I did after I finished that. I skimmed through some of the episodes of the Bount arc, and I'm like, it can't be as bad as I remember. And even like skimming through the episode, I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad. This is so bad.
I can't imagine having to watch that week to week.
I can't. I remember I got into Bleach like somewhat near the end. I got into well, listen, follow my watch guide, and you won't have to worry about that because I think we are gonna watch some good Bleach filler, but there's a lot of bad Bleach filler. There's like 2 batch of like 20 episodes that are good, and then everything else is bad. Especially like near the like there's like sometimes where like they're in the middle of a fight, and then there's just 2 episodes, random episodes of filler, and then they go back to the fight, and that shit was the most infuriating thing in the entire world to watch week to week. I cannot tell you how effing massively disappointing it is to watch like a really hype episode and then have it end on a filler, or like have it end on like a big cliffhanger, be like, I can't wait to watch the next episode, and then the preview for the next episode is them just fucking picking their noses on. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm calm. I had some PTSD there. When people say, oh yeah, the Bleach anime is bad, I'm like, listen, Bleach is a good series, and then I remember, oh yeah, they probably watched it week to week.
Yeah, I think of any like older generation anime fan who had to like watch Bleach way back in the day with like fan subs or something like that, and week to week. Whew. I can understand why they probably don't like Bleach.
It's fine. We're watching the series. We're skipping all of that badness. Anyway, the Mario fight was good. Another good fight was the Renji versus Byakuya. I think it was mostly just a fight to show off Byakuya's and Renji's Bankai and just show off how strong Byakuya is, because like basically Renji is at the same point Ichigo is, where like he just got his Bankai, right? So theoretically he's just as powerful as Ichigo, and then he gets wiped by Byakuya. Like I think that's a very important fight to just show like, oh yeah, just because Ichigo has Bankai doesn't mean that it's a free W, you know? Because Byakuya like fights against Renji's Bankai with Byakuya fights against Renji's Bankai with just his Shikai, and then he immediately goes Bankai and destroys him in 2 hits. It's really funny.
Does a good job of showcasing the power.
Yeah. I mean, we already knew that Byakuya was pretty powerful because like he swiped Ichigo's sword in half and killed him in one hit that last time. But I think it's a good fight just because like showing that Renji is a good guy now. I think that's an important fight to show off that like, hey, Renji's a buddy now. Renji's his friend now. It's another bad part of the filler, the Bount arc. Going back to complaining about the Bount arc is that Renji just kind of comes back and hangs around in the world of the living for no reason. But, I mean, I kind of does that in canon material, but not as bad. Anyway, but yeah, Renji and Ichigo are kind of in a similar position right now, where, like, they both want to save Rukia, they both just got Bankai, but they gotta get Fubiakia, and, yeah, it does a good job of showing, like, oh yeah, just, even if Ichigo gets Bankai, then, like, it's not a free W, because I think that could have, like, very easily, like, killed a lot of the, like, tension of that last fight. Because, like, if they didn't show that, then we would have just assumed, like, okay, Ichigo, because up until that point, it seemed like the only thing that was stopping Ichigo from beating Byakuya is that he didn't have a Bankai, so I could very easily see a scenario where this fight doesn't happen, and we're just thinking, like, oh, okay, Ichigo, free W, he just goes Bankai and beats Byakuya.
That's it.
But, like, no, we see that, like, you know, just because you have Bankai does not mean it's a easy W. I think I said that, like, 15 times. Because, yeah, Byakuya makes a big deal, like, oh, yeah, even if you have Bankai, you need 10 years of training just to control it. Junyun Hayandayo. Is that a thing? I think that's just a thing in Japanese media. Where, like, you're 10 years too early. Or, like, you need 10 years of training.
It's definitely a thing that shows up in a lot of anime.
And I think they were making fun of that phrase in Ocarina of Time, because in Ocarina of Time, they instead of saying you're 10 years too early, they said you're 7 years too early. And then you go into the future and it's 7 years. Anyway, random aside. I do like the dynamic between Renji and Byakuya about how, like, they're like, you seem like that for a lot of the series, like, they're kind of like buddies, you know, they're both part of the same squad, you know, they both pick up Rukia and kill Ichigo when they go to the world of the living. But there is a lot of, like, different things from them. Like, Byakuya is way more powerful. They're also different class-wise, and, like, Byakuya is a good, like, foil to Renji, because, like, he wants to get Rukia back, not just from getting murdered, but also, because Byakuya, like, stole Rukia away or something. I don't know, man. I'm not 100% sure. Why can't you just go visit? Why does Rukia being adopted into the Kuchis stop? Yeah. I guess... A
little bit of a drama queen.
I mean, I guess I can kind of get it, because, like, Renji is still, like, a guy from the slums, and Rukia used to be a girl from the slums, and then she got adopted by a rich family, and now, so I guess that's what kind of tore them apart. But, like, I don't know, they still seem like they were on good terms, and I don't know. Don't worry about it. Renji's just a big drama queen. Don't think about it. But yeah, I do think I think Renji's a good character, even though he mostly serves to prop up other characters, like be a rival to Ichigo, show how strong Byakuya is, etc., etc. But I still think he's a good character on his own.
I agree.
Another fight I don't have a whole lot to say about is the Soifan and Yoruichi fight. I think it's good. I think it's another good, like, not necessarily a battle of they're just trying to kill each other. I mean, they were trying to kind of kill each other, but the battle was more about, you know, working through their issues, you know, because, like, they had that whole flashback about how, you know, Soifan and Yoruichi were buddy and BFFs forever, and probably sleeping together. I don't know.
Hooray.
They didn't make it. I do remember. I don't know if it's. Sorry, my face freaked out. I don't remember. I don't know if the show itself makes it a big thing. Actually, no, I think it is. They do. The show definitely does. The show definitely does ship Yoruichi and Soifan later in the series. I'm not 100% certain. Maybe it might just be in filler. I know the anime staff in particular added some certain episodes, certain scenes to ship certain characters that were not in the manga, and people are fighting about it to this day. Talk about that later. Anyway. But I like the Soifan and Yoruichi fights about how, like, yes, Soifan was just wanted her buddy back. And I don't think Yoruichi ever said, like, Soifan was, like, legit crying, like, why did you leave me? And Yoruichi was just like, sorry, my bad.
My bad.
My bad. That's spoilers. I can't tell you that quite yet. But yeah, I think it's a cool fight. I also think Soifan's powers are cool, even though we never see them actually activate. But the whole thing about how her Shikai, she can kill people in 2 hits. Right? If she hits the same butterfly mark 2 times.
I think that's a really, really cool, like, Shikai.
It is really, really cool. There's actually a funny thing where, like, they don't actually show what happens when Yoruichi successfully murders somebody with that Shikai until, like, way later in the series. But there's still, like, some, like, non-canon material, like video games or whatever, that do, and they just kind of had to make up how that looks like. We can, I guess, that's not really, like, a big spoiler, but whatever. For a long time, there was not a consistent way that people died to Yoruichi's, or Soifan's attack. But there is a canon way they're supposed to die, but that's not even, like, it's not even a spoiler, it's just, like, a visual spoiler. It's just me being a nerd. That's it. But yeah, I do like their relationship, but I think it's a good fight, but there's just not a whole lot to say at the current moment, other than Soifan loves Yoruichi, and Yoruichi abandoned her for some reason, and she was sad, and then they kissed and made up. But we get to see what we get to see more about that later, so we can talk about that more later. Is there anything you want to say?
Nothing for me.
Okay. What was another fight? I'm trying to think of any other fight before we get to the last fight. Oh yeah, the Kenpachi Tozen fight, I think was really sick. I think his Bankai is really fitting because he's blind, so his Bankai makes other people blind too. Not even blind and deaf.
Yeah, it takes away their senses.
Yeah, and I think that's actually, like, a really good, like, again, the show's really good at pairing, like, this show has a very diverse cast, and the show's very good at, like, pairing people up who are good foils to each other. Because Tozen's all about, about, like, honor and loyalty, and he doesn't like violence. He's basically the exact opposite of Kenpachi. So their, like, views are opposed, and also, like, their powers are kind of, like, also opposed, because Kenpachi's all about, like, just brute strength. But his, Tozen's Bankai is, like, very much, like, more of a pacifist thing, a way to, immobilize an opponent and take them down without actually having to fight. So basically, something that Kenpachi hates, and he actively complains about that during the fights. He's like, damn it, I don't want to have to think. I just want to swing. I just want to hold forward and mash buttons. I just want to hit buttons. I don't want to think.
Kenpachi just wants to go monkey mode, and I love it because it's very consistent with his character. It works.
Yeah. Like, even later in the we gotta keep watching show because show it keep being good. I do think this, I don't know, this is kind of like more or less the peak of the series, but that doesn't mean that later episodes are bad, Right? Like, I still think, like, they go in a lot of interesting different directions. So even if it's not just, like, straight up, even if it doesn't get, like, this good, it gets close, or, like, it gets, like, adjacent to being this good, you know what I mean? I don't know, there's some scenes. I think as far as, like, consistent, like, episodes, a chunk of episodes, like, there's not a better batch of 63 episodes in the series. But there are, like, episodes and fights here and there that I do think, like, kind of might top some of the fights here. But like as far as like overall story is concerned, I think this might be the best. But I do think there are like some fights or some character arcs later on that I think are really good too. I don't know, man.
I mean, yeah, I really hold this arc pretty highly from a story point. I do think the last arc of this anime, like the original, is one of my favorites. But yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that.
We'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge.
Did we talk about the Chad and Shinsui fight? We didn't, did we?
I think we talked about that briefly. There's not a lot to talk about. It's just he got his ass kicked.
Right.
He got his butt clapped. He got his cheeks clapped. Like,
He got messed up.
yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily like, oh, Chad is, I think, supposed to be like very strong, but like he ran into a captain, and like there's the only way that other people have fought captains before is either being the main character or sacrificing their powers, like, or being a captain themselves. So like, you know, as far as things are concerned, you know, yeah, Chad just got I don't know. Yeah, Chad got done dirty. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to tell you this. Chad just got done dirty. I'm sorry. Because it would have been better if I would have liked it better if he had more of a like fight. Because like, I mean, he did kind of have like a flashback during that where like he was like, where he met Ichigo and Ichigo was like, oh yeah, you know, Chad, you can keep being a pacifist because I'm gonna protect you. And Ichigo's like, you know what, if you're gonna risk your life over saving this thing, then I'm willing to do it myself. And Chad's like, that's why I'm gonna help Rukia, because Ichigo did the same for me, and I like it. But then he just got murdered. He had a flashback, but he didn't have an actual like fight. maybe they were just like, maybe Tadekubo was just like not sure what to do with Chad at this point because his power is just basically he punches things. There's not a lot of like,
and we still don't really understand what his power is. Like, I think even some like soul, like Shinsui's like, what is that shit? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. And the same thing with Orihime. At least Chad got a fight. Orihime got no fight. Orihime attacked somebody once and got backhanded. That was it. She shot one attack and immediately was out of commission. Like her one attacking move got destroyed. And then she couldn't do anything the rest of the season. But she does lament that fact. She does like talk about how that's frustrating, about how she can't help. Like near the end of the season, she's like, "Oh, you know, I didn't end up actually doing anything, and it sucks, and I hate it." And again, that will be a character arc that we will see later on.
Just wait till next arc.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so the penultimate topic, because it might not be the penultimate topic. How are you on time?
I'm doing good.
Anyway, saving Rukia, yay! I would just have to say, definitely one of the best fights in the series, just all things considered. Again, I think,
I love the lead up to it. I think everything about the lead up is like amazing.
Yeah, the scene where they have like this giant flaming bird. I don't know. I mean, they do explain later why they went to so much effort to do this, but like, yeah, I don't know why they just have a giant flaming bird. Why do they have a giant flaming bird just sitting around? I don't know, man. Apparently it has the power of like 1,000 Zanpakuto, and they need like a special device to destroy it or something. I have no idea, man. But I do really like the series, the scene of Ichigo. Hold on, I have a screenshot of the scene. This scene where Ichigo blocked the bird and grabbed Rukia and is like, "I'm here," and he's like, "I'm here to save you." Mwah! Iconic peak fiction.
It's great. It's actually so great.
I have like a little printout of that like panel, like, because that was like a full page spread from the manga. I have like I have like that as like a printout that I got at a Japanese anime store. But yeah, it's really sick. He also uses that weird flying cape. I don't understand how flying works in this series, because they make a big deal about how like they have this machine that he uses to fly, but like later on in the series they all just fly. And even earlier on, like, don't shut up, don't think about it. But yeah, I think it's really sick, because like we the last time we saw Ichigo, it was like, oh, it's the we're out of time, Ichigo. You need Bankai, and you gotta be out of time to rescue Rukia. And then he shows up and he wrecks shit, and it's like, oh my god, he's here. That must mean, right? There's kind of like some question of like, did he get Bankai or not? Did he just run out of time? I mean, he's here. He couldn't be here, right? If he didn't have Bankai, he'd be dead, right? Like, it's crazy. And then effing the scene where he saves, where he goes down, he blocks the big bird, he spins his sword around like the white Ichigo, he breaks the effing stand, and then he jumps down and takes out 3 lieutenants. Like the Renji, you remember Renji? There was a big like 3-episode fight about that. Mm-hmm. He just took down 3 of those guys. They were playing his song. They were going, "Now you feel like number one."
One of those lieutenants is also supposed to be very, 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 very strong too. So kind of crazy Ichigo just beats him.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of caught them off guard, but Ichigo was just feeling himself. His theme song, listen. His theme song was playing. You don't understand.
You can't lose when that happens.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, it's really sick. He takes down 3 lieutenants barehanded. That one guy, I think he's Soifan's lieutenant. He has like this big spiky ball, and Ichigo just punches straight through it. It's really sick. But yeah, and then Byakuya comes, and then Ichigo blocks his attack, and Ichigo's like, haha, I can see your move now, haha. Remember in the scene where you first met Byakuya, and Ichigo's like, what, I couldn't even see him, he disappeared, and now he has my sword, and oh no, I'm dead. And now, like, it's good. It's like, it really feels like everything is like culminating all at once, you know? Like Renji is on his side, and now he's finally doing the thing. He's using his Soul Reaper powers. He got it. He's using his car. He picked up Rukia in his car. Or whatever what running joke we had before. And you're like, it's all leading up. It really feels like it's all leading up to that like one moment. Again, there are really good like fights and character arcs, but as opposed to like, you know, overall storytelling, like overall like multiple episode like full arc storytelling, like it's really good. It's peak fiction. Yeah, and also again, pairing characters up, I think Byakuya is just a really good fit for Ichigo. And because, you know, I don't know, they both, I don't know, I'm losing it. You talk for a second.
I really like when Ichigo chucks Rukia at Renji.
I forgot.
That is an iconic scene.
Where Renji shows up like half dead, he's barely got healed. And then, yeah, he shows up and Ichigo's just like, oh, you're here, great, grab this. I got other things to do. And he chucks Rukia, that's really funny. But yeah, what I was saying earlier is, yeah, I think Ichigo and Byakuya are very, like, polar opposites in a way, where, like, you know, Byakuya is, Ichigo's like, hey, why aren't you should be trying to save Rukia the most, and Byakuya's like, oh, you're such a dumb kid, you don't understand. And he's like, you know what, you're right, I am a dumb kid, I don't care, I'm just gonna save my friend. He's a good boy. Ichigo's a good boy. Very good, like, a brain cell shonen protagonist of just like, I'm not gonna think too much, I'm just gonna do the right thing. It's a very common shonen trope, but it's very good. Because again, Ichigo, even in the first arc, he had this whole character arc about how you know, he wants to protect people, and you know, he knows he's not like a Superman. He can't like save every single person on the planet, which will become more of a character arc distinction later on. But yeah, for that moment, he just wants to do the right thing, and he sees, you know, the only real reason that Ichigo wants to save Rukia is just because like he made a promise he would, even though Rukia's like, hey, I don't want to be saved. Ichigo's like, well, I said I'd save you, so here I am saving you.
What a nice guy.
It's blah 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 blah. I'm just ranting on, but like, it's really hard to like talk analytically about like a fight like this when it's just like, usually I try to like think like, oh, that's interesting because X, Y, and Z, but like while I was watching this fight, I was like, oh my god, it's so sick. But like, yeah, the show has done a lot to build up this fight, you know. It's done a lot to like show Ichigo's character. It's done a lot to like show a lot of the things that he's been doing to get to this point. And yeah, it's really great. It also seems like again, they also say that like, oh yeah, you know, Ichigo has something to like prove during this fight, right? Because like they're like, oh yeah, you know, why Rukia's not there, so why Rukia got away, so why is Ichigo still fighting Byakuya? And they're like, oh yeah, because if Rukia, he truly wants Rukia to be saved, you know, he needs to beat the best guy. He needs to beat Byakuya at his full power and prove that, hey, no matter, to get the Soul Society to give up on trying to save Rukia or trying to kill Rukia. But being like, hey, let's not fuck around with this Ichigo kid, guys. Even though Byakuya is not really the strongest, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, actually, even just looking at some of the other captains, it feels like Byakuya isn't like too high up compared to Aizen, Toshiro, or maybe actually definitely Toshiro. What am I saying?
I was mostly just thinking the head captain and
Bagin, Shinsui. We don't know much about Ukitake in terms of strength at this point, so.
I think it was just mostly like, mostly what I'm thinking about is just Yamamoto, who he got his Shikai out, and they're like, oh my gosh, this power is insane, even for a Shikai. His Shikai is basically a Bankai. But I don't know, I still like Ichigo clearly has something to prove. Like during the first part of the fight, Ichigo's like, whip out your Bankai. Whip it out, buddy.
Whip it out.
Show me your Bankai. He's constantly egging Byakuya to release his Bankai, and he also wants to just beat Byakuya without any help. Like, I think he explicitly tells Renji to just leave and let him beat him alone. And then Ichigo's friends try to help, and they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't, because knowing Ichigo, he probably doesn't want any help. And they are 200% right. Because again, if he really wants to save Rukia, he has to make the Soul Society give up on trying to kill Rukia. And the best way that Ichigo sees to do that is to beat one of their strongest captains at full power. So that's why Ichigo's like, bring out your Bankai. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think he's also trying to... Because Byakuya's like, oh yeah, you know, the reason that he... I don't remember exactly. I know near the end of the fight, he just sits down and explains it. But Byakuya's like, oh yeah, the reason that he's not saving Rukia is because it's the rules. Like, he's like, oh, as a esteemed noble heads clansman, you know, it's my job to uphold the rules. So, you know, I have to be a good example for everybody, or else the whole structure of the society won't work. And then Ichigo's like, that's fucking stupid.
And he's right.
He's right. But yeah, I don't know. And then we also see later on that Byakuya has a lot of, like, internal conflict where, like, he does want to save Rukia, but he kind of wants to also uphold the law too. We kind of see like later off after that fight the kind of like weird position that Byakuya put himself in.
Yeah, I really like how conflicted Byakuya is, because I think even though a lot of these characters can be one note and that usually works to their benefit, occasionally you get a character like Byakuya who has like a lot of layers to him, and he actually like kind of progresses. You know, it's like he doesn't just stay the same. Like Kenpachi going forward, he basically stays the same. But even Toshiro doesn't really like develop like personality wise or like value wise.
We just kind of learn a little bit more about him, but like as opposed to Byakuya kind of started to like question like his values and like what like the role of the laws and whatnot, stuff like that. He learned something today. We learned something today. But yeah, then they finally both go Bankai, and I think we talked about Ichigo's Bankai. I think it looks cool. I like it. I think it's a cool concept because again, as we were talking earlier, a lot of the Bankai are like there's a very logical progression from Shikai to Bankai, but there are some exceptions that kind of like throw you off and are like kind of cool, and Ichigo being one of them. Because his sword actually gets smaller, and Byakuya's like, "Ha, you are just fucking around. That's not even a Bankai, you faker." And then Ichigo's like, if he finds out, like, oh yeah, he just condensed all the power of the Bankai into this tiny little thing, and he outspeeded him. Especially this scene, where like he gets surrounded by Byakuya's Bankai, and they just swipes them all out of the air with like super fast sword swipes. It's so sick. It's so sick.
Oh yeah. There's not a lot of Sakuga. I would actually say this fight, animation wise, is also not like groundbreaking, but like the small little, just the like key frames of certain things, they just look really nice.
Like the screenshot that I'm showing right now. This looks very nice. Mm-hmm. There's also like a shot earlier where like he's showing off his speed, and there's like a billion Ichigo's jumping around Byakuya, and there's like a panning like twisting shot around him. I forget what that's called. You know, where like
I think they sell Ichigo's speed really well, because it's not like he was ever running around super fast before this, like the 60 episodes beforehand.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
but here you actually get to see him move.
Yeah, this is kind of like the turning point of the series, where fights get a little bit bigger, which is not necessarily a good or a bad thing. I did like the grounded fights. Like, I was really like kind of floored by like, I think the Renji fight in particular was like a very like grounded fight, where like you could definitely tell that they were like had a space, and like he got blasted into a building and stuff like that. So, and going forward, fights get a lot more flashy, but I think it does actually kind of work to the show's benefit. Again, not necessarily a good or bad thing, because a lot of the fights are metaphoric, so like the visuals of what are happening are not that important. The visuals just mostly need to look cool to facilitate the fight that's happening. That's kind of why Unlimited Blade worked so well. Mm-hmm. Especially compared to the original Fate Stay Night, because Fate Stay Night is a visual novel. I don't know. Listen, Azerad, do you know anything about a series called Fate Stay Night?
Please enlighten me.
It's a series. It's a visual novel. No, Azerad is a Fate Stay Night fan. His waifu is Saber.
Huge fan.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, in Fate Stay Night, it is a fight series, but in the visual novel, it's a novel, so it's not necessarily like you can have a lot of fight choreography. So in the visual novel, it's mostly just people standing around arguing about their ideals. And I think the anime for Unlimited Blade worked very well, because like they just had those like ideal conversations happening while crazy shit was being animated. And I think going forward, anyway, going back to Bleach, I think that's a good way to do it, where like the visuals look cool and the story wise. If the visuals and storytelling aren't necessarily connected, so might as well just make the visuals as pretty as possible. And I think that's kind of more the direction that Bleach goes. Although there's still some really good, like, grounded moments. The visuals are still good at, like, you know, correlating, like, the push and pull of a fight scene, you know? That's not, like, completely gone. It's just, like, you know, if you are a fan of, like, really grounded fights, that's... You go watch a different anime. But if you like really big, flashy fights, then you are in the right place, my man.
Especially, again, Bleach going forward with every single arc, the fights do get better and better and bigger and bigger.
That's what I was
like,
saying, yeah.
Not a bad way.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, like, how I kind of hesitate to call this, like, the peak of the series, because, like, as far as, like, you know, 60 episode arc is concerned, like, yeah, this is the most, like, thematically satisfying. But, like, there are some really good fights and characters and powers and story and, like, character arcs later on that I really like. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm very curious moving forward in the series of, like, how we're gonna move, how it compares, basically. But I'm gonna say I think it compares favorably. And then Byakuya has like a different form for his Bankai, and that's really sick. Where like I'm not sure. Okay, what is up with the dome? Do you know what the dome is about? Because I just watched the effing episode like 3 days ago, and I don't.
What do you mean by dome?
You know,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
His Bankai has like 3 different forms. He has like the bunch of cherry blossoms, and then he has a dome that's like a bunch of like pink swords. He's like, this is the execution place. He's like, I'm sacrificing all defense in order to completely kill my opponents. But
all right,
that's just kind of symbolized with a big dome with a bunch of pink swords on it.
Yeah, I just remember it looking like Bleach to me has a lot of the rule of cool when it comes to some of these like Bankai mechanics.
Fair enough.
It's like, it just looks cool.
It does. You know what? It does. It do be looking kind of cool. I got a picture of it right there. It do be looking kind of cool. It is just a big thing of sword.
Is that from a movie or?
I don't know. It's the picture that the wiki has.
So that does look cool.
But yeah, I think it's just like he doesn't have those petals there to defend himself anymore. They're all just swords, and it's all just for attacking. And then he does this, where he puts all of the swords into one single attack, and it looks like this, and it's sick as frack. This I think is from a filler arc. I think I recognize the floor. Because I don't think that screenshot is from this fight, because they were fighting like on a dirt patch. Anyway, not important right now. But yeah, rule of cool, Byakuya, he's like, oh, I've only ever shown this form to like one other person, so you should be honored that you're dying by blah blah blah. And then we get this thing out of nowhere, which I think is actually really cool, because this is very important for the next arc, the little mask coming out, which they kind of like hinted at here and there throughout the season, where like during the Renji and during the Kenpachi fight, they're like, oh yeah, you would have died. Oh yeah, and also when he first got his Soul Reaper powers, right? Because that mask looks a lot like this mask, don't you think? Little.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that keeps showing up, and they portray that as being very mysterious. Where like, you know, the first time it showed up in the Renji fight, Ichigo's like, oh, I'm gonna keep it, and then Hanataro was like, no, it's creepy, I'm gonna throw in the river. And then they're like, well, I lost it. And then it came back after the Kenpachi fight, and then Yoruichi's like, I'm gonna dispose of this just in case. And then it comes back again. And then, also going back to complaining about the Bound arc, that same thing happens again. Just literally copy-paste. Like, it's cool because, like, okay, it's kind of mysterious, what is this building up to? And then it kind of built up to this moment, and they were like, wait, what the fudge is happening now? And then the next arc just does this again instead of answering the question of what is this about, because the next canon arc after this is all about this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really sick about how, like, I think it also brings into question, like, oh, was Ichigo powerful enough, you know? Because, like, you probably would have lost that fight if it wasn't for this. Because, like, yeah, Byakuya was like, oh yeah, you're about to die, you can't move, and then this happened, and then, this thing shot a black Getsuga Tensho at him. That was actually, like, good animation of, like, Ichigo with this mask on, shooting a black Getsuga Tensho. I think I do remember that being specifically well animated.
Yeah, I think actually when he gets the mask, the whole fight in general is like really pleasing. It's a very short amount of time. I don't even think it's a full episode.
Of what?
Of the fight itself.
I think it's two or three episodes. I don't remember. It goes for a lot of different phases. I think the actual, like, when Ichigo I think from Ichigo going Bankai to the end of the fight, I think is all one episode. But I think if you don't count, like, the preamble of, like, you know, him punching the lieutenant and him egging on, there's, like, an entire, like, while, like, I think the Soifan and Yoruichi fight is happening, like, they cut in with Ichigo being like, hey, Byakuya, pull out your Bankai. Hey, Byakuya, pull out your Bankai. But yeah, it doesn't matter. One way or another, I'm dying. But yeah, it was a well-paced fight. If that's what you were saying, then I agree with you. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's a good fight because, like, they go from, like, Ichigo has Bankai, he can fight against Byakuya's Bankai, and then Byakuya goes into, like, phase 2 of his Bankai, like, you beat the boss and he gets its second health bar and he goes into phase 2. And then he's about to beat Ichigo, and then Ichigo goes into phase 2. And then after that, like, Ichigo, like, tears off the mask and is like, hey, I don't want any help. And the mask is like, what are you doing? We could have killed him! Which kind of goes back into what I was saying earlier about how Ichigo wants to do this. He has something to prove by the fact that he wants to beat Byakuya without any help. So, I think that's cool. It's good connection to the next arc, you know? Because again, like, I think you could, like, stop watching at episode 63 and have an overall good experience with Bleach. Because it does end the arc. It does, you know, they save Rukia and the arc does end, but, you know, there's some connection to the future arc. It makes you want to keep watching. Makes you want to skip the next 43 episodes and keep watching.
Don't you want to stick around for 43 more episodes?
I tell you, the only reason I have a conspiracy theory that the only reason people don't like Bleach is because they watch the anime, and like that the Bound arc is such a bad pace breaker because this is already, like, on a super high note and it's, like, foreshadowing the next arc. And then if you just go to the next canon episode, it has good pacing because it picks up and starts explaining all of this. But
I don't think Bleach, I don't think it peaks with the Soul Society. I know that's a very common opinion.
That's what I said.
And I think I get why now, talking about it through these streams, why people think that. And it really must just be because after this you have the Bound arc, and then even after, once you go back into canon, while I do think that arc is amazing, and I could make some arguments about it being better than Soul Society in some aspects, but even that arc gets messed up with, like, filler being thrown in between, like, filler arcs being put in between it. So this is the last Bleach arc for a long time that's just left alone. It's like, here's it without any filler bullshit.
Yeah, there's like two filler episodes that I did skip. But I skipped them and they were great, and the spacing was good. And even those were, like, not filler; they were just adaptations of, like, a weird, like, omake chapter or whatever. But it was essentially filler. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that as this discussion series goes on, I can convince we can reaffirm our beliefs that I can reaffirm my beliefs that Bleach is good, well paced. Because I've heard, listen, a lot of people who watch the anime, like even people who like the anime, are like, well, you know, it has its problems, but it's still good. But like people who have only read the manga, people who've read the Bleach manga pretty much only have good things to say about it. Or like even people like you who have skipped all the filler episodes only have good things to say about it. There's very few people who have seen canon Bleach and don't enjoy it. I mean, definitely they exist because, you know, people have own unique tastes and blah blah blah. But the ratio of people liking it is a lot higher. You know what I mean, dog?
Yeah.
I'll just put this screeny. Is there anything else we want to say about this fight? And then they do go to phase 3 and they do the big final fight, the last blow, and then Byakuya loses and he's like, okay, this is why I didn't want to save Rukia, because I wanted to uphold the law. And Ichigo's like, that's stupid, you're stupid, and then he dies. No, he just falls over.
Nothing from me, honestly. This is about, you know, it's a spectacle, it's fun, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the payoff, right? So there's not a whole lot to discuss other than it's good, the payoff worked. Like, we've got, like, a lot of what makes this fight good is a lot of the things leading up to it, and we've talked about a lot of the things leading up to it. So as far as talking about this specifically, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Although I think it's funny, you can't quite see it in this screenshot, but like Ichigo has a bunch of bandages on him for this, and I thought that was just his like Bankai outfit, but like later when he goes Bankai, he's just shirtless under that. He just got a deep cut V. Which I think is really funny.
It looks nice.
It looks nice. I mean, yeah, it looks good. I like the post-time skip version of this outfit a bit better, though. But this one still looks good. Anyway. So now let's talk about the ending. I don't know. I've just put the ending in this entire category. Which basically, like, the last 4 episodes of the arc, which is just leading into the next arc, because in the background there's been this whole like conspiracy about like, oh, Toshiro thinks like Gin, who murdered Aizen, blah 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 blah, and then that kind of like all comes to a head. I will say, you know, arc is good. Oh yeah, one thing, okay, too many thoughts at the same time. What you were saying earlier is yeah, I do think this is the peak arc in terms of like overall episode arc, but again, there are, I think, better fights later on, better singular fights later on in the series.
Yeah, definitely. I will say I actually really like Aizen in this part.
Yeah, going back to what we were actually talking about, yeah.
Because just, I think one being the time where like every time Ichigo's theme song has come on, and it being just a crazy thing, like something, and then Aizen being the only one who's like, yeah, I'm just gonna stop it midway through.
That is so sick. That is like...
It's amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, one negative thing I will say about this arc is that on the rewatch, the conspiracy, everything about the conspiracy was kind of weak, other than the Toshiro Gin fight. But yeah, there's just a lot of like, oh, who killed Aizen? Oh, Momo thinks Toshiro killed Aizen. Oh my gosh. And oh my gosh, what's this? Gin's gonna, like, I think that was, knowing that, like, yes, Aizen is behind it, blah, 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 like, knowing that, I think the whole, like, mystery aspect of that was kind of weak, but, like, I still think it was worth it because the payoff was really good, you know? Like, the last 4 episodes are really good. Like, Aizen's a really cool character. Momo is the most tragic character in the entire series. Because literally, like, Momo exists just to make Aizen look evil, I guess.
That's pretty much it.
Because her whole thing is like, oh yeah, you know, she wanted to be a Soul Reaper and wanted to get, and she was inspired by Aizen and she respects Aizen and she wanted to became a Soul Reaper. Oh hey, we have a viewer. Oh my god, what the fuck? What the hell? I wasn't
right at the end.
Right at the end. What's up, buddy? I was surprised that I think this is the longest time that I've had absolutely 0 viewers. But hey, you know what? I was kind of half expecting it and half don't care, because again, like, I just want to talk about Bleach with my friend, and there's also VODs and whatnot. And also we kind of rescheduled at the last minute.
Yeah, unfortunate.
But it's how it goes. I think we'll talk about that later, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't cry. And then he didn't. Buddy? Say something? He's crying. He's off crying. He's like, I hate me. No.
Well, I don't know why my pusher talk was being weird. It was a very unfortunate time for that.
That's funny. What did you say?
I forget now because I was trying to look at what my pusher talk key was.
Okay. It's fine. We're all cool. Anyway, we're just talking about the very end of this Bleach. Blah blah blah. We're talking about YouTube.
I like Aizen being a twist villain, even if it came at the expense of Momo as a character.
Yeah, because Momo, yeah, that's what we were talking about. We're talking about how Momo is like this character, like, oh yeah, you know, she wanted to be a Soul Reaper because Aizen inspired her, and then Aizen fakes his own death, and then Momo's really sad about it and tries to kill her childhood friend or brother or whatever. I don't actually know what their relationship is. Ain't seen an episode in my life. Don't worry about it. Just listen to us talk about it. Maybe we can fix that at some point. Anyway, yeah, Momo is the most tragic character in the series. She does do things later, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about now. We're talking about how she got shanked. But yeah, I do think it's a good payoff. How, like, again, on the rewatch, the conspiracy mystery was a little weak. Because I knew the answer to the mystery, so like the whole thing of like them trying to figure out who's behind it when it's just a twist villain, like, blah. But I do think it has a good payoff because, like, you know, them going to Central 46, like, oh, everybody's is dead and they've been dead for a long time. Like, that's crazy. Like, who, like, I think it was foreshadowed a bit well because we definitely knew something was up because, like, people were saying, like, oh, why is Rukia's execution being pushed up and being made such a big deal? I gotta go. Okay, bye. Follow me on Twitter if you don't like new YouTube notifications. What was I gonna say? But yeah, it's fine. We have VODs. This is
Watch the VODs.
Yeah, this is not a stream. This is just us. This is just me uploading the VOD in real time. That's why nobody's watching live. Have fun with your companion? What the fuck does that mean?
Never been referred to that before.
That's a weird way to put it. Sidekick, I would have taken. What was I saying? Oh yeah, yeah, Aizen's a cool character. We can talk a lot about him more, because, like, he doesn't do anything other than being like, hey, I want to become God, so fuck you, see you later. But one important thing I will say that is important for Aizen's character later is that the reason he said he killed Momo, it was because Aizen claimed he was killed Momo out of mercy, because Aizen's like, oh yeah, the only reason that Momo existed basically was, he's like, oh yeah, the only reason that Momo existed was to just be easily manipulated by Aizen, and he's like, okay, well, now that I'm actually evil and now she doesn't have a purpose in her life, isn't it more merciful to kill her, right? And I'm like, that's some high IQ anime villain bullshit you're selling.
Crazy logic.
But him killing characters out of mercy is something that he does more later, but we can talk about that later. But yeah, and then the scene that you were talking about earlier about like you have Renji and Ichigo are fighting Aizen, and they got the theme song playing and everything's going well, and then Ichigo goes to swing and then Aizen literally stops his sword and his theme song with one finger. Like, that is a really fun. It sells it really well. I think that's one point where like definitely the anime gets the W there. Because like,
oh, for sure.
I mean, it's already impactful, like, oh yeah, this is like the most powerful that Ichigo is at the moment. So we kind of have to show that Aizen can easily floor him just so we can sell Aizen as the next boss. And like, him stopping the sword with one finger is fine. It does its job. But the anime just went the extra mile and was like, oh yeah, let's also have him stop his theme song too. It's really great. But yeah, and then he also takes Gin and Tozen with him, which Gin, like, Gin was the primary suspect of being evil, so it's not that surprising why that Gin left. But we still get the sense that there's something more going on there because Rangiku has some sort of background with Gin. We don't know too much about that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Other than Rangiku was like, why? If you don't remember Rangiku, she's the one with the big old bitties. One of the many characters in the show with tig old bitties. Not gonna say anything about that? Okay, fine.
I said something about it last time, so I felt maybe I shouldn't do it too much. I don't want to seem like that guy.
By the way, is her sword basically the same as Byakuya's? Because her sword just turns her sword into like dust that attacks people, and that's basically the same as turning into swords that attack people, or little blades that attack people.
Did she do that this arc?
Yeah, in her fight with like Izuru.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Like, while Toshido was like getting shanked by Aizen, Izuru was like distracting them, and then he showed off what his sword can do about how it makes things heavier. And then she's like, it's fine if it's heavier because I can just make my sword go poof. But yeah, I don't know. That's beside the point. But yeah, I also really like the scene. They also took Tozen, which is a very interesting and not a character that you would expect to defect. I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna, again, Mayuri would be a more reasonable character to go defect. Why didn't Mayuri defect, actually? If all he cares about is research, then why didn't he go with Aizen to go do research on becoming God? That sounds like something that's right up his alley.
I mean, I guess he does like having his little crew of his squad and like having to work with, and the resources the Soul Society gives him. Meanwhile, Aizen probably didn't promise anything to him. Also, Aizen probably just didn't ask him.
Yeah, I think he was like still recovering from the fight with Uryu. But yeah, I think Tozen we learn more about Tozen later, but basically all we know right now is that he wants peace, so he's like, okay, it's kind of implying like, oh, maybe Aizen has more to his plan than he lets on, because if he convinced Tozen to go, you know, and then the doggy is like, why? I thought you wanted peace. Why are you fighting? And he's like, oh, I want peace, and that's why I'm going. Blah blah blah. We'll find more about that later.
I like their backstory that we'll hear in about 100 episodes.
About 100 episodes between Tozen and the doggy.
Yes,
I think we see a little bit about them, about how
very little, very little.
About how like because he was blind, he was the only one that didn't discriminate because he was a dog. And Tozen also has like a dead friend. So we'll find out more about that later. But as opposed to, you know, the point of the scene was to give you intrigue for what is coming in the next arc, and I think having Tozen be one of the people to defect, I think is a big like eyebrow raiser. Like, huh? Why is he going? I thought he was like he was all about peace and love, and why is he? It's crazy. He was our I forget. He was our I'm losing it. I'm losing it. We gotta end this podcast soon. He was our minority hire. Well, you can't leave. You can't leave. Isn't that right?
Meet that diversity quotas.
Yeah, diversity quota. Oh, we still have Yoruichi.
I've been holding in my pee since Ichigo's fight with Byakuya. Just letting you know.
We're almost done. What was I gonna say? Yeah, thank you for waiting. Yeah, we're almost done. What was I gonna say though?
Was it something about Tosin and the doggy?
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask. I was just gonna wonder what race is Yoruichi?
It's a good question because I don't know.
She looks Indian, maybe? I don't know.
I would have to assume, like, and the weird thing with Bleach and the Soul Society is that a lot of these characters seem to be, like, very, not just Asian, but Japanese specifically.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Because we know Chad is, like, from Mexico, or, like, has Mexican, like, parents. And Tosin, African, has, like, he's black because he has like he has like the dreadlocks and stuff like that. He has like very specific, like, you know, things visually that ties him to a specific culture. But Yoruichi kind of just has a sweatpants and an orange jacket. I got nothing.
There's not much to go. There's a lot of things about Yoruichi that we don't really learn.
You know,
one of the small things I guess I will bring up, I don't consider this a spoiler, but because we know she was a Soul Reaper, we don't actually ever see her Shikai.
I was gonna say, I think she's one of the few characters.
We don't even see her Zanpakuto toe.
We see it like I think she like in the flashback with Soifon, she uses a sword. That's assumed to be her Zanpakuto, but yeah.
We see her use other weapons, but we're like, from my understanding, those aren't Zanpakutos.
Yeah, she mostly uses Kido to fight. Crazy. Just a fun mix-up. Anyway, yeah, so they leave, and then Byakuya explains his dumb reasoning for why he tried to kill Rukia, because it's like, oh yeah, you know, my dead wife was actually your sister, and that's why I adopted you into the Kuchi clan, so I made a promise with my dead wife to protect you, but, I also made a promise to my dead parents to not break the law again after I had to break the law to get Rukia into the Kuchi clan, and that's why I was about to let you die. Like, eh? And he's like, oh yeah, and then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, Ichigo, thank you for stopping me so I could keep both my promises at the same time? Question mark? I don't know what's up with that.
It's a bit odd.
But he does get, even though I think it might not have been handled super great, he does get some character development. We do see, like, we understand the concept that, like, he has some internal turmoil about, he wants to, uphold the law, but he also wants to, you know, make good promises with his family, and he's, like, starting to question, like, what's more important. So we do see some, like, development go for his head. Let me move you a little bit. Okay.
Thanks.
But yeah, as we were saying earlier, like, he does have you're welcome. He does, as you were saying earlier, he does have some sort of, like, he does have a character arc. A lot of the things about Bleach is the characters are very one note, but because there's so many of them and the things around them are interesting, they work a lot. Like Kenpachi is a good example. But Byakuya does actually kind of, like, you know, evolve and, you know, have. He's one of the more complex characters of the series, and there's a really good filler arc with him later on that I am going to recommend.
I'll have to take a look into that.
I think I'll just include it in this rewatch. But yeah. Speaking of which, blah blah blah. Also speaking, I was gonna say Tevin's not even here. Tevin, if you're watching this from beyond the grave, you were questioning why Byakuya wears roof tiles on his head. Like, the little like roof tiles that Byakuya wears on his head.
Right.
According to like a character book, those roof tiles are like head ornaments that show that he's like the head of the Kuchiki clan. So that's why he has the roof tiles.
Interesting.
So then I have to question, why does he not have it post time skip? It's because, spoiler alert, he does not have those roof tiles on him during the time skip. Don't question about it. Don't question about it. Don't question it. Don't think about it. Maybe, listen, we have not seen all the time skip yet. Maybe there's a specific reason that he does not wear that during the time skip.
That's true. We haven't seen, because we haven't watched, or we haven't read the manga either of us, right?
No.
Okay.
We're baby anime onlys. Well, I've read the manga up to like not past the anime. Fashion is subjective. I think the roof tiles look cool. I think it looks off. It makes him look very much like, because he's supposed to be like a very noble, honorable samurai, right? Also, speaking of honorable, noble samurai, I like the screenshot.
It's a funny one.
Anyway, quick, we're actually ending it now. Quick random things aside, you know the ending song that goes, "Happy people"? That one?
Yes, I do.
That one made me laugh every single fun time during this arc, because this is like, it starts playing when things get like very serious. So like, like Uryu is like dying or like is paralyzed and dying and crying about his dead dad or like dead grandfather, and then the ending just kicks in, "Happy people." It made me laugh. However, the ending after that is a lot more like fitting. It's like an Orihime sad song.
Oh.
Always sliding and destroying roof tiles in the movies. Maybe it's a tribute. Exactly. Wait, what? Blah blah blah. But yeah, I really like the fifth ending. Not as good as the third ending, which shows off all the captains, but I don't know. It's good. It's a good ending.
Yeah, I like most of the endings in this arc.
Blah blah blah. Also, the openings are really good. The death metal at the end of the third opening is really great, and I already showed that the second opening has a lot of like foreshadowing and whatnot. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, remember when I was talking about it shows all the Zanpakuto, the fake Zangetsus in the background? That's pretty sick. And one minor thing, Hanataro is a bad character, because he's like the most plot convenient character in the entire world. Like, he only shows up to heal Ichigo and tell him where Rukia is, and that's literally all he does in this entire like arc. He's like he's just like the guy on the inside to heal. He conveniently has some sort of relationship with Rukia. He conveniently runs into Ichigo. He conveniently happens to know how to heal people, and he conveniently just knows exactly where Rukia is. So like, I don't know, he's a very plot convenient character. But even he gets some character development later on. I think we'll find out what his Shikai is. Doesn't he have a Shikai later on?
Oh, I think so.
Oh. Anyway. Okay, so two things. So you thought ending was going to be the last one. Next one is next time. This one I do not have written down, but we need to separate this somehow. Okay, next time, we're not watching the bout filler. It's awful. We've been complaining about it this whole time. It's way too long, and it's basically just a more boring version of this arc, because they go to the Soul Society and fight some people. And it's just like, it's bad, it's boring filler, it made people hate Bleach, so we're not watching it. Episode 64 to 109. Do you know how many episodes that is? That's like over 40.
That is quite a bit.
What is 109 minus 64? I don't think that's quite the math. 45 episodes. That's almost the entire length of this series. I understand all and nothing of what you're saying. Don't worry about it. But yeah, and also, if you want to know just how bad it is, it literally starts by introducing 3 more cones. It's like, hey, you know everybody's favorite character, Cone? What if there was like, what if everybody had a cone? You know, what if Uryu had his own cone? What if Orihime had her own cone? What if Chad had his own cone? Be great. You're watching a whole season for this? That's dedication. All 200 episodes, man. Bro. Empress Bean. What are we going on about? Anyway, not watching the filler. I do think some of the Bleach filler is good, but not this one. So we might, I might throw in some filler, but not this one. Definitely not this one. So the next batch of episodes will be, 200, yeah. Minus all the filler, I think it's about 200. 209 or like 260 with the recommended filler. Dear gosh! What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Azerad has to pee. So, the next official batch will be 110 to 127, which is 18 episodes. But I was thinking of kind of watching the movie first. Because here's the thing about the movie, okay? The movie technically should be next if we're watching the movies and the series. Because the movie came out during the filler arc. That we're skipping, but the movie also does spoil Rukia Shikai, so I don't know, but I kind of just want to watch the movie, because if we delay the movie, then that kind of, because then we have to basically watch 2 movies in a row, essentially, because there's a batch of 18 episodes, a movie, a batch of 12 episodes, and then another movie. So what do you want to do, Azerad? You want to just watch the movie next? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think, like, listen, we all have the same experience. I think most people are either just have already seen the series or are just here to enjoy me rambling, like Bean. So I don't know. Also, I also want to have the authentic experience, because I watched everything in release order. So I watched the movie before that episode, and I got mad. I was like, what the fuck, they spoil that? And by spoil it, I mean they show it off without necessarily explaining what it is. I'm watching all the.
I don't think it's a big deal.
I'm watching all the episodes. It's sick. But yeah, watch 1 to 63, and then let's watch the movie. So yeah, we're just gonna put the movie next. Are you available next weekend?
I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Do that in like an hour.
I want to know what's going on. Yeah, I was also, another thing I was thinking, is that, blah, blah, blah. Going with the first, like, looking at the first, like, 3 parts of this, I think I kind of want to somewhat change how we do it. First, I think less episodes with more time, because, I'm sitting here watching, the last 2 sessions have been 23 episodes in 2 weeks, and that's been a little bit, hard to keep up on. Like, I don't know, back in the day, like, I probably marathoned this entire 300 episodes in, like, less than a year. Probably, no, definitely less than that. I think it was, like, a summer that I watched all of these, that I watched Bleach initially, like, or at least, like, the first, like, 200 episodes of Bleach. But, like, I don't know, I just want to watch other anime and do other streams. And I also want to give other people time. Like Bean said that they want to go back and watch the first 63 episodes. So I think we will slow it down a bit, which does work out because I don't have another 23 episodes a while, because the next batch is 18, and then the one after that is 12. So I think we'll do closer to like 12 to 18 for 2 weeks. I don't know. I mean, I know you've seen
Yeah.
this. I know you've seen the series, so until we get to the filler arcs, you don't necessarily.
Yeah, once we get to the filler arcs, I'll have to like actually go through them so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I do just want to slow down a little bit because I was half thinking like, oh yeah, I want to finish the series before the new season comes out, but also just like it's been a pain. It's been a pain in the butt to try to speed through this, and it's a good show. And what I realized is that I really effing like Bleach. It definitely deserves a spot on my 3x3 of my favorite anime of all time. And I want to take my time through it, and I don't want to take my time talking about it. So I think we'll slow down a little bit, and also, I think also, last stream, I think Tevin was complaining about too many episodes. So I think we'll do that, and also, I don't like schedules. It's not just you, Azerad, don't worry, but I know that
I was gonna say I'm not my current situation makes it hard to do consistent schedules.
Yeah, but like that, and like I mean, partly like I don't want to impose upon you. I want this to stay a fun thing, and also I just realized that I just don't like schedules because every time I've done it, it sucks. Like I did this schedule for my first week of being a VTuber, and I also did a schedule for like somewhat recently. And I realized I don't like it because then I did the schedule, and then every time I've done a schedule and I've followed the schedule, I'm good at following schedules, but then I just ended up not streaming for like a week or two because I'm like, I get a little burnt out, so I just want to be consistent but not necessarily have like a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue about not having a schedule for this series is that I want to tell people how long they have to watch a show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, you have to watch this. If you want to get caught up, you have to watch this number of episodes in this time. But I think we'll be more loose with it. So like, here, for example, we're gonna watch the movie next, right? Right? Are we agreeing that the movie? Are we doing the movie next?
Yeah.
Okay, because I do want to watch the movie because I think the movies will be better spaced out. So like, how about instead of saying like, oh, we're gonna watch the movie on May 27th, how about we're just like, by next weekend from now? How about that?
Sounds decent.
It might not
I have
be.
to get back to you.
It might not be next weekend. It might be the weekend after that. But yeah, either next weekend or the weekend after that. The weekend after that is my B-Day, and I have a special stream scheduled for that. So yeah. But as far as like, oh, here, make sure you have access to the movie by 7 days from now. Right? Or like maybe I could just, I don't know, there's a better way to word it where I could be like, okay, watch, make sure you have the episodes watched by this time, because we'll do it sometime on or after that date, but not necessarily a hard schedule. So let's just say by next weekend from now. It's not, the stream's not gonna happen necessarily next weekend, but get access to the movie by next weekend. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So yeah, if you wanna also might give yeah, it might be 1 or 2 weeks. Well, it also might be Azer's hair looks like roof tiles.
A little bit.
I know, but this is still a temporary image that is just like on a copyright-free image website, Irastoria. Azerad is still, we're still working on getting a final design for Azerad. He doesn't need to be like a whole VTuber model, but Poke did offer to just design a PNG tuber model for him. But he needs to stop being so indecisive. You should just be a black version of Neku.
There we go. Maybe we should do something like that.
Not a bad idea. Think about it. Although I am growing liking. I am liking this one. I am liking your current design. of being a master of the dark arts. Anyway, what?
I said it's like a Chuni design.
Yeah, Chunibyo. I think the on Ida story it's literally called Chunibyo character. Like the anime. Wait. Anyway. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, movie. And let Azerad pee. Hashtag let Azerad pee.
I think I will leave now anyways, because I do have to go.
Yeah. But anyway, we're gonna watch the movie next. The movie is available on Amazon and YouTube. You can rent it for $2. And also we're also gonna be watching all the movies, so you could also get the I think there's like a 4-in-1 pack that has all the Bleach movies, so you can get that too. Either way works. But we'll also be watching the dub. Right, we'll be watching the dub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been watching the dub this whole time. So, and this movie obviously has a dub. So, yeah. So, gain access to this movie by next weekend, and I will update you when we have a vague time when we're going to do it. Because I think another reason why nobody showed up to this stream is, I think, because we keep moving around the time. Which is weird, because, like, if I move around times a lot, then nobody goes to the stream. But if I just do a stream, like, unscheduled, just randomly, then I get, like, 15,000 viewers. I don't know. I don't know actually how long that movie is. But yeah, we're going to be doing, instead of a discussion, we're going to be just watching it at the same time. So, if you've seen the Mario Brothers watch-along, then you know how it goes. So we're just gonna watch it at the same time, and you have to get your own version of the movie, and we'll have a timer so we can sync so we can watch it at the same time. It's an hour and a half. Okay, that's not a long movie. So yeah, there you go. I'm excited for the movie. I think I think all the Bleach movies are very good, but I think this is definitely one of my favorites. And I don't think you've seen any of the Bleach movies.
No, I have not.
Okay. So yeah, go do that. Go catch up on these episodes and the previous discussions if you have not, if you wish to, or you can just jump right in. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, I suppose. And then we'll watch the movie, and then we'll watch the next batch of episodes. Okay, so
sounds good.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. I think we had a good talk. Yeah,
it was fun.
Hopefully,
it was very good.
I think this will definitely this should be the longest stream we do, because half because last time we had to end it early, so it was only like an hour and a half. So we had like 30 episodes to cover. And also all the future episodes are again only like 18, 12, 18, 14, 21, 18. So yeah, not as many episodes to talk about and not as dense. So there'll still be a lot of interesting conversations because there's a lot of cool things coming up, but hopefully it will not take 3 hours. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for holding in your pee.
No problem. Thank my bladder.
Yeah, you can just pee into that onsen behind us. No, don't do that. There's a bathroom inside. Please hold. And thank you, VOD viewers. Thank you, Bean, for watching live. And thank you, everyone. I had a fun time. It's not about the views. It's about having a good time, and I had a good time. So yeah, thank you, everybody. Next time we watch Bleach movie. And also, I will probably do a stream, probably Tuesday, without PP Man. Okay, anyway, goodbye. That's me! Okay, bye. I love you all. See you all next stream. See you later. Or wait, what's my outro? Frick. Oh yeah, see you later, cheese bags. Say bye.
Bye.